My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jakey Boy and I are going to break down the entire UFC 305 fight card, giving you our picks, predictions, bets, and DraftKings plays. But before we talk about UFC 305, yes, we are. Are you just messing with me for no reason?
Yeah, I thought I could really get you there, honestly.
Well, I can see that it says live. Well, here we go. But honestly, I should just skip over this slide. This was the Celebrate Jacob slide, and I should just skip over it because you got an attitude problem. This is the, I don't know how that freckled little dork has done it, but over the last 3 events, he's been crushing. He's been hitting his stride. He's on a heater. He's the hot hand right now. Up 10 units over 3 events. What's changed, Jacob?
It's been same old all year, to be honest with you. Hitting bets left and right. Live stream was crazy. We had $750 on Spivak. We had, $30 or $40 on Spivak by sub. Won a quick almost grand on that. Live stream's been killing. I think we're going to stream again Saturday.
$30, $40. I thought you said you had, didn't you have hundreds?
It won hundreds because the odds were like plus
700. I guess. I saw it backwards. My bad. Well, the way Jakey Boy is on an absolute heater. Most of his bets, if you just watch this video, and then if you just watch the best bets video, you don't really see a lot of Jacob's bets. Here's all his bets over the last 3 events. He's been absolutely crushing both the live bets on the live stream, which are just fun bullshit bets that, they're a lot of fun to enjoy while watching the fights. And then these here were all actual premium plays. If you do want to unlock all of his and mine are good too, bets for UFC 305, you can do that now. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month. And this month, you're not only going to get UFC 305, you're going to get 2 fight nights and then UFC 306, which is the Sphere card. And premium membership is more than just a couple
306 is the Sphere?
Yeah, UFC 306 is Noche UFC. Is it not? Am I wrong? No, I'm right.
I just...
Yeah, it's Noche UFC and the Sphere. I don't know. They don't know what hashtag to use with because it's Noche UFC. There's UFC 305. And then it's like UFC Sphere or something like that. Lots of random hashtags.
Wait, the next pay-per-view is the Sphere?
September 17th.
Wow, we get to see ONeill Osborne main card. That's... How the fuck did that happen?
And they're the most expensive.
How does that work through? How many times did they look at that board? They're standing there being like, "Wow, look at all these names," and not one of them was like, Hold on a second.
We did it.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm seeing ONeill fucking Osborne on here. Nobody was like, what's this guy doing on this card? 10 fights and ONeill Osborne?
It's only 10 fights. You know what's so funny about that? It's 10 fights. The whole world just collectively bitched about the UFC this past weekend because it was only 10 fights. And now what is being billed as the biggest, most entertaining UFC card ever, bigger than UFC 30 or 300, is only 10 fights.
And it's not one of them.
It's not 9 title fights either. So I don't mind ONeill Osborne, but to your point, that's not a main card fight on what is being billed as. How is he? He's not saying the best pay-per-view. He's just like saying the most.
The greatest sporting event ever. I think.
Yeah, spectacle.
And stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
The greatest event of all time or something like that.
And what I don't, now we're on a random Sphere rant here when I was just using the Sphere to further the value.
That wasn't my fault.
The only reason I brought up UFC 306
Were you just using tone to try and blame me for a tangent?
I would never. The only reason I brought up UFC 306 is because if you become a premium member today, you'll unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, and everything for not only this pay-per-view, but the next one as well, because we got the good month. You know how I described it, Jakey Boy, in my quick picks? I said if you get paid every other Friday...
Oh, you're not even going to let me answer. Okay. You asked me a question.
Do you know how I described it in my quick picks, Jacob?
Described what, Angelo? I'd love to give this a good attempt.
How exciting it is that we'll get 2 pay-per-views in a 1-month period if you're a premium member.
Yep.
Okay. I described it as if you're one of those people that gets paid every other Friday, there's 2 months a year where you get a third paycheck. And that's what we have here. 2 pay-per-views in a 4-weekend period. And you guys are the treats. You get to unlock the bets. in a 4-weekend period with 2 pay-per-views. You get the Prop Hunter. This is a new tool, curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets, not only for fantasy, but also bets as well. You're going to get the Data Analyzer, by far the greatest research tool in the history of time. That's not an exaggeration one bit. You're going to get data for every single fighter on every single fight card well through September. You're going to be able to select those fighters, drill down into how many takedowns they're getting, how many they're getting by wins, by knockouts, by losses, all the data you could ever want or need. It live updates a chart, and then you can export that chart you want, or you can click on the points of that chart, and it'll open up the actual video from the fights so you can watch the fights themselves. It's absolutely insane. It's included in your membership. You're also going to get a line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. You're going to get the DraftKings Optimizer. This builds DraftKings fantasy lineups for you, and it does so preloaded with the best ownership projections on the planet. And to reiterate that point, these are the ownership numbers, the true ownership numbers in the actual column. The projections in all of the other columns, we're all the way to the right. 3.32% margin of error. We destroyed the competition. The competition is like roto-grinders, Skotastic, giant companies that have hundreds of millions of dollars to build out a DraftKings fantasy offering, and we have managed to do a better one and only charge $10.
I'm looking for them.
He's looking.
They must be way back there.
They're all the way back there.
They must be way back there.
Who's they? What's happening?
They must be way back there. The
What is
competition.
happening? Oh, Thank you. And finally, this is the last slide. I swear to you, you're going to get more than just me and Handsome Blue over here. You're going to get the artificial intelligence that's picking fights with remarkable accuracy. We've developed betting systems around how the artificial intelligence picks fights. And then you're going to get Artem, who maybe he's not going to win a beauty contest, but Artem is breaking down the PFL, Bellator, LFA, Contender Series, giving you all those picks, all those bets for all of those cards. Every single freaking thing I just mentioned is $10 a month, not a week, not $100, not an event, $10 an entire month. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. And here's a full look into that month's worth of cards. You get this pay-per-view up top. Then we go down just a slot. You're going to get Kyle Barallo versus Jared Cannonier. Then we're going to move our way up. We're going to get Gilbert Burns taking on Jacob's favorite Sean Brady. And then we get UFC 306 or the Noche UFC
I
card.
thought
All
Gilbert
that
was fighting Saturday.
$10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top.
Hold on. I saw Burns at plus 600, and I bet the fucking shit out of him because I thought it was Gilbert. There's another one?
There is another one. And he's quite good. He's quite good.
Are you done with your spiel?
I'm done with the spiel. You got something to say before we break this thing down?
Yo, Dre! I got something to say. Man, if I went to that,
dude,
song,
I thought
that would.
I thought you were about to do some embarrassing rap like that Australian, like the
that's NWA.
the break dancer.
Yo, Dre, I got something to say.
I will never.
Underground.
I'll never not laugh at one of those Australian breakdancer videos. Every single time I crack it.
I don't know what the fuck you're even talking about.
Then you don't know what you haven't seen the Australian breakdancer from the Olympics?
Let's do a
You're
game.
the only person that
let's do a game. You got to say, just give me my money, and then and then they vote, and then everyone claps, and let's just do it back and forth. I'll go first. Ready? Just give me my money. Now you clap. Now you go.
Just give me my money. Oh, why are we not clapping? I don't even know how that's how is that a trend, frankly. The first few were funny, and now they're so obvious.
I sat there one night and watched those for 2 straight hours. They're the funniest shit in the world to me. I don't know why. I fucking love every single one of them. Every single one of them.
Then you need to work your way down to the You really haven't seen the Australian breakdancer videos? It's unbelievable.
I don't think so.
She was in the Olympics. She was by far it looked like Amy Poehler. Like she was doing faces like this.
Oh, the Olympics girl? I know what you're talking about now, but I never watched the videos.
She was hopping like a kangaroo.
I never saw the videos, but...
Dude, she was on the ground just folding herself.
You got plenty of room. Scoot your chair back and do a couple of them.
It was like this.
No, get the fuck off the chair and let's...
I'm not...
You got plenty of room. What are you doing? Content, come on.
Yeah, that's not happening. We do have a $1.99 super chat from ONeill. He says, what song did you guys lose your virginity to? Ooh. I lost mine. There was no song. No tiff. I snuck into my girlfriend's apartment, or not apartment, her parents' house, crept upstairs, and, somebody was always like, oh, if you on your own first, you'll last way longer. So then.
Gotta clean the pipes.
Yeah, so then I went into the bathroom, did that, and you're a kid.
Wait, you did it right before?
Right before.
In her house?
And it was like.
She's just in the other room.
Yeah,
and
I was like, let me go to the bathroom.
You were like, let me go to the bathroom. You just.
Yeah. Dude,
you're supposed to do it like earlier in the night.
Okay, well, it like the ceiling, it was like, you're all wound up. It was like.
Yeah, you were ready to go.
Yeah, it was yes. So there was no music is the answer. What is your answer?
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Probably, mine is, come on, Angelo. Little pretty Ricky. Grind on me.
No way. Dude, living in white trash America. There's no way.
On me.
Absolute turd.
100%. You know how many times I've made love to Pretty Ricky Blue Stars, Angelo?
I have no idea. Let's go ahead.
At least once. Just a prerequisite, guys. This is a pay-per-view card, so Angelo told me I cannot joke, I cannot interrupt. So please, in the live chat, do not. This is serious too. This isn't like, this is like serious because Angelo will get pissed at me. Do not say things that will make me laugh and things that I will want to repeat to interrupt Angelo. We don't need it tonight. This got to be professional. Thank you for understanding, Angelo. Go ahead, and I imagine I won't interrupt you once.
All right, we're gonna do this Walter Cronkite style. First up at the UFC 305 fight card, we have Stewart Nicoll taking on Jesus Aguilar. I'm ditching that voice. Stewart Nicoll, undefeated, making his UFC debut. He's being touted as like the best prospect in that region that hasn't been to the UFC. He's taking on Jesus Aguilar. Jesus Aguilar's been in the UFC for a little bit. 10-2 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off a close decision win.
Dude, the first thing I see is Jordan Luce puts in types, you can type like parentheses to make it look like boobs. He just says, what do you think of these, Jacob? Instantly, already. That's the stuff we don't need.
Yeah, we can't. Not in the middle of the breakdown. We can't. Stewart Nicoll, as I mentioned, making his UFC debut. He's a grappler, decent wrestler, slick grappling though. When he takes you down, he's got solid control. He's always staying busy. He's a strong guy. He used that strength well. His striking is a bit stiff, but he's got nice leg kicks. He's not afraid to exchange. He's not a coward on the feet. You are going to see his record. He's got some finishes there. Those are mostly ground and pound. He's not knocking anybody's head off standing. He's taking on Jesus Aguilar. Solid grappler. He's got a knack for finding guillotines. He'll actually even set them up. The guy has 10 wins in his career. 7 of those 10 are stoppages. 4 of those 7 are guillotines. And it's not like a Julian Erosa guillotine. He's literally like looking for it, finding it, and getting it done. He is a bit wild. He is very active, though. He'll throw strikes and combinations, a little bit of power in there. He's coming off that insanely low volume win, though, over Mateusz Mendonca, where he was taken down 4 times and landed 19 strikes. Stewart Nicoll, big boy favorite. More than a 2-1 favorite at this point. He's a UFC debut. You can see that line movement, though. He opened as a dog. He opened as a plus 135 underdog.
If I were to want a page for line movement, is there a place I could go?
Actually, it's crazy you bring that up. If you go to WeWantPicks.com and then click on tools, under there we have what's called a line movement tracker. It'll show you the opening odds, the current odds. I'm already bored. The win probability and the line movement. Anyway, dude opened as a dog. He's now a big favorite. And I kind of understand how he could be close to a favorite or even money. I think he wins literally only because I think he gets the takedowns and Jesus can struggle with defending takedowns. That is the only reason I'm picking Stewart Nicoll to win. I don't see all the insane hype. Maybe he's that good. He's 8-0. 8-0 could be 50-0 in a couple of years, or it could be 8-1 come Saturday night. I think Stewart Nicoll has some potential. I think Jesus Aguilar is very good. I think he's getting looked past here. I think he deserves a little more credit. I was going to do the plus 3.5 bet on him, and the bookies are onto it too because those odds were gone. It was minus 180. So I'm not doing that bet on Jesus, but I do think Stewart wins literally only because I think he gets a couple of takedowns and that should matter here. What do you think? Jakey boy.
Yeah, I think Stewart, honestly, when I watch film on him, when I'm watching tape on him, which I do week in, week out for every single fight, I'm dedicated to this game, dedicated to this craft, and that's why I've been having so much success. It's just absolutely crazy, the success I've been having. Stewart seems like the real deal to me, and I know the guys he's fighting aren't, probably the top level guys, and they probably aren't going to be on the level of Jesus, but he is manhandling those people. What I like the most is when he has people up against the cage, he takes his fucking time and he controls every position. Everywhere the fight goes is where he wants it to go. I mean, the wrist control, the way he's trapping legs, you can see his weight when he's in there to keep people on the ground. He does all the little things in those positions. And I think that's the type of guy that really controls Jesus, because Jesus showed against Mendoza that even if he does get taken down, he's controlled. He still has those abilities to sweep and end up in an advantageous position. Against Stewart, I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I think he's going to be stuck on his back, and eventually Stewart could find the submission or the TKO, because he does a great job also of punching to set up the submissions as well, and sometimes you can just keep on punching. I mean, Jesus to me is just not dangerous on the feet. I mean, he found that his first knockout against what's his name, but he's really not dangerous on the feet. He's shown that he can get taken down, and apart from that Hail Mary guillotine, which I think Stewart should be pretty aware of, I think that Stewart should kind of dominate here. I do worry a little bit that if it does extend, that Stewart out of fatigue, UFC debut, that's when that guillotine really becomes more live, because Jesus is a guy that's going to be live for it first, second, and third round. So as the fight goes on, I'll be worried a little bit more about that guillotine, but I think Stewart has the ability to finish in the first round. He's a fucking animal, and he's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I picked him to win as well. I don't believe in these odds. Do you think these odds are fair? They just seem so wide. The guy's untested.
Well, I mean, the way he's winning fights, and you see how Jesus can lose fights, I think people are putting 2 and 2 together. I played him at these odds. I like these odds, and I just think he's and he's been to a 5-round. He's won a 5-round decision before, so I mean, he's been there, done that if he needs to.
I think that was his only decision, correct?
Yeah,
but he, yeah, I mean, listen, we both picked him to win, so no argument here. I do like the Jesus Aguilar plus 3.5, but I just checked. It was minus 180 earlier today. It's minus 150 right now, which I might end up pulling the trigger on. I think he can win a round. I think he could absolutely win a round. He's the more seasoned guy. You don't think he gets finished?
Tyra. I think Stewart's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah, well, didn't Jesus fight Tyra on short notice, though? But he did get smoked by Tyra. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. That's what's tricky about these undefeated yet untested guys. You really just don't know what's going to happen in some of these fights. But he is 9,000. I'll be honest
too, full transparency. I have a $500 parlay I put on Nicoll and the next fight. Find out who the next fighter is. Stay tuned. Like the stream if you want to find out. But just on my personal whatever, not for premium whatever. But I like Stewart.
Yeah, all right. Well, Jakey Boy's very high on Stewart Nicoll, which means that $9,000 is pretty appealing to you in DraftKings Fantasy.
Yeah, because even if he doesn't get a finish, I think he's going to score well, takedowns and control, and I mean, I was going to say submission attempts, but they don't score those. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think if DraftKings Fantasy doesn't score submission attempts, but Prize Picks does, and so does FanDuel. But if you do think Stewart Nicoll wins, then he's got to be in your DraftKings Fantasy lineup, because to Jacob's point, he will win with grappling, takedowns, control, all of that, which scores really, really well. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the round line leans, the tools, and more, you get 1 month's worth of access for only $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. And if you look at a calendar, 4 Saturdays gets you not only UFC 305, but all the way out to UFC 306. We do have a super chat, $4.99 from Jacob Schaefer. Haven't seen a thank you, Dan. We're not letting it die. You are right. Where are the thank you, Dan? I think people are just so caught off guard that we're live on a Monday instead of a Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, my God. This is going to make my week go by so slow now.
You're live streaming tomorrow. That'll pick it back up. The reason we're live Monday is because... Oh,
and I think Lock of the Week is going to drop tomorrow as well. The highlight film is done. Angelo has seen it.
There we go.
I think it's one of my favorite ones. Oh, you're supposed to say, yeah, it's good, guys. Fucking dickwad.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything. That's fun. The highlight, everything you do is great.
Here we go. Yeah, here we go with the. I just wish
it's just not creative enough. Yeah,
I just wish you. It's great.
Anybody can splice together some audio clips. It's just we want the skits. No, like anything you do is good. It's kind of annoying because he's really starting to feel himself lately with the bets hitting and the live stream numbers are fucking crazy.
Since barf.
$10 super chat from Jack Bella. Hey guys, my wife IG DM'd you guys to make a video for my birthday. I believe before y'all went to 303. Today's the day. You got a few more hours. Dude, you know what's so funny about that? I remember she sent the message. Shut up. Let me finish.
By the way, don't blame me because I don't get those messages.
It's 100% me. No, 100% me. She sent the message and I said, no problem. When is it? What? We'll take care of it. What's his name? Then I went back to try to find the message. I couldn't find it to save my life. There's another message I can't find. Somebody reached out. I did this whole rant.
Are you just deleting messages from
No.
girls?
Somebody, the problem is people email us, people DM on Instagram, people DM on Twitter. We get comments. Like, it's hard to keep up with all of it. So somebody reached out. I went on this whole thing about how they count significant strikes, how it's just a guy with a clicker. And somebody reached out saying, I know how that works. I'm in that space. I literally know the guy with the clicker. Let me know if you want more information. I don't really, I want to be anonymous, but I'll give you some information.
What does this have to do with this guy's birthday?
I can't find that person's freaking message either. So if you're that person and you're listening, reach back out.
Can you just sing him happy birthday real quick?
This is for Jack.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha, cha, cha.
Happy birthday to you. Let's try to harmonize here. Happy birthday, dear
Jack. Dear.
Happy birthday to... Hit it. You.
To Jack. All right. Live viewer count plummeted. Next up, at UFC 305, we have the beginning of a pretty rough stretch. We got Song Kenan taking on Ricky Glenn. Kenan Song is 21-8 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. He is coming off that one-sided loss to Kevin Josette. He's taking on Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn, 22-8 in his career, 1-3-1 in his last 5. He's coming off his second knockout loss in a row. This is we're at the bottom of the barrel for the next couple of fights, but strap in. This one actually should be entertaining. Nonetheless, it means nothing for rankings or development, but it does matter for the entertainment factor. We got Song Kenan. This guy is a powerful striker. Wrestling's not very good. He does have that one-punch power. Clean technique? Not really. But again, he's got that one-punch power. You can beat him if you stay in his face, but if you let him find his rhythm, you let him move around, if you create a dirty fight that you're not just constantly moving forward, he will plant and he will land clean. Takedown defense, as I mentioned, can fail him, but if he is taken down, he stays composed. He works back to his feet. He doesn't panic. He doesn't really give anything up. He can have low fight IQ at times. That was never more obvious than when he had Ian Gary, 99% knocked out, decided to shoot a takedown instead. Essentially, he is one-punch knockout or bust. And lucky for him, he's fighting a guy that he can knock out with one punch in Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn is a volume striker. He stands nice and tall. He marches forward, but he does stay out of that pocket. He also has some power on his side. He can be a threat early in any fight, but if you do stay in his face, you can also give him some trouble. He has 4 takedowns in the UFC, and you might say, wow, okay, I think we're good. But those all came from one single fight 6 years ago. So I don't expect either one of these gentlemen to shoot takedowns anytime soon. Ricky's coming off that knockout by Drew Dober. Song Kenan made a name for himself, as I mentioned, for almost knocking out Ian Gary. And the only reason he didn't do it is because of the poor decisions he made after that. The reality is Song Kenan should win this fight. He should knock out Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn can be knocked out. Song Kenan can knock people out. This is a 1 + 1 = 2 situation, but the guy is minus 181. These odds on this card are going crazy. All the favorites are becoming tremendous favorites everywhere. We've only seen one fighter's line flip, and it flipped a week ago. So I don't know what's going on here. I do think Song Kenan is going to win this fight. I'm pretty confident in that. But this is very similar to last week, where I fell into that Chalampos trap where I said sometimes you just got to pick the other side. And you got to look at the opponent and go from there. And that's what I'm doing with Song Kenan here. Hopefully he doesn't let us down. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I was laughing because I put a tweet up today because the Erceg odds went from like minus 170, like minus 145 or something. And it happened to be right around the time that the embedded came out. And in the embedded, Erceg's wearing Uggs. So my tweet says, Erceg has been bet down to minus 145 after video surfaces of him in Ugg boots. And I got a lot of traction. And then some random person said, growing up, literally everyone in the wrestling community wore Ugg boots to warm-ups pre-match. I never understood it, but it doesn't surprise me seeing this. And then Charles Johnson, Energy, replied and said, motherfuckers was not wearing Ugg boots in STL or the Midwest. What the fuck?
I agree. I have never seen... That's a bizarre... I have been around wrestling gyms for fucking 30 years.
He said motherfuckers was not wearing Ugg boots in STL or the Midwest. What the fuck?
Dude, I completely agree. I've been in wrestling gyms for 30 years. I have not seen boys run around with Ugg boots, and I'm from the Northeast. It's cold as shit in wrestling season. I don't know why that guy...
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude, that dude's wrestling in Provincetown.
I want to see Charles Johnson walk around the wrestling room in fucking Ugg boots.
Who do you think wins this fight, Jakey?
Yeah, I'm all over Kenan's song. I mentioned in the last breakdown, I put a $500 parlay, the first leg on that, the young kid, and then the second leg is on Kenan's song. I think that's a really good parlay in my opinion. And I agree, Kenan's song is not like this, is just crazy, whatever. But in this type of fight, he should just, honestly, accidentally find a knockout. I mean, he possesses that power. He also has shown that he is a tough, durable guy. I mean, yeah. he is a tough dude, so even if there is a little bit of adversity, he should be fine. And guys, if you watch that Ricky Glenn fight against Drew Dober, and I know, and what you guys have found out because of my breakdowns, is Drew Dober really isn't that good, right? And if you watch Ricky Glenn against Drew Dober, he got absolutely smoked, and it looked like he doesn't even know how to throw a punch anymore. Like, Drew Dober wasn't doing anything special, just like Kenan's song isn't anything special. But Drew Dober stood in his face and eventually cracked him with the shot that finished him. And once Ricky was getting hit, it was like he was like, oh, shit. I think Kenan's song is a guy that will just kind of stay in the phone booth, stay in his face, accidentally hit him with something hard. And once he does that, once you get hit with something hard, it's really hard to recover, especially depending on the placement. And if it's anywhere around the mouth or chin, it's really tough to excuse me?
Wow, what a technical breakdown.
Yeah, but it's really depending on where the hard thing goes. It could hurt worse than others. And around the mouth is usually not good. And I think Kenan's song does that at some point. I'm pretty confident in him.
There we go. We're both on the Kenan song sign. Somebody in the comments said, guys, let's not forget Kenan's song's not that good either. He's got more ways to win this fight.
Just watch Ricky Glenn versus Drew Dober. I mean, it was like, oh. Like, ugh. Like, oh.
Yeah, no, I got you. I mean, Ricky Glenn is going to have a tough night. If he's getting hit in the face, he's going to have a tough night. It just is what it is. So now, Kenan's song, the odds are tightening if you do want to be on that side. I've got a little bit of a parlay with him. I basically took two guys that I think win, but I don't fully trust. I parlayed them together. I got some really good odds on it, and I threw a half a unit on that. I'll give you the other half of that bet when we get to that fight. But we got $8,700 for Kenan's song, and it's a weird world. He's probably worth it because he probably wins by knockout, and then all of a sudden, $8,700 is 100 points. Would you agree with that statement, Jacob?
In my opinion, and it's just my opinion, doesn't make it right, could be wrong, but I think that Kenan's song has the ability to, when this card is all said and done, this could be the best value on the card, in my opinion. Yeah,
I mean, it is, especially when we look at these next couple of fights, the value is long gone. So this one, there is still some value left. Dude, you know what's funny? So every now and then I'll slip up.
I guarantee that
it's not funny. Okay, it's not funny. This isn't funny. Anyway, it is funny though. I'll slip up every now and then. I'd speak very, very quickly. I've got a brain like Mega Mind that's just constantly doing stuff. Sometimes I can't keep up, right? Sometimes I'll fumble a word. And every now and then I'll point it out. It's funny. I move on. No big deal. And sometimes I'll point it out just because at this point it's a thing. Angelo messes up his words every now and then.
Well, you have a diagnosed lisp.
See, that's another thing. And another thing. The lisp thing was just somebody in the comments one day just kept saying Angelo has a lisp. So then I was like, let's
literally have when I met you, I was like,
no, we're not doing this.
Okay. I was literally like, I don't mean to be rude, but is there, have you been,
diagnosed?
Listen,
what's your diagnosis?
No, literally, we live in Florida. Sometimes people start drinking early. It was like 11 o'clock and I was like a little bit worried. I was like, I don't want to be mean, but
that's true.
Are you drinking right now? And you were like, no, sorry, I have a left.
Sorry. I don't think sorry is a lisp. Isn't a lisp like, I guess sorry.
When I met Angelo, he talked like that.
And what a miracle that as an adult man I overcame that lisp. What a miracle!
I overcame cancer, and you overcame a fucking lisp.
And
AIDS
what a
is
real
killing you right now.
Cancer, they did it with a knife. They cut it out, and you were sent home.
They cut up your fat tongue too.
Every day in the mirror, just unique New York, every day, over and over and over. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Over and over and over. You know how hard that was 3 years ago? Either way.
Tell me how hard it gets.
Never had a lisp. Ever. And every now and then I'll point out when I fumble in a breakdown. Just real hilarious content. And then somebody commented, I never notice Angelo's mess ups until he mentions them. And then somebody goes, let me see if I can find the exact.
Still going with this story, huh?
I told you it was good.
Can we get an applause, like a laughter thing? Can you just hit a button when I'm supposed to laugh? Because I feel bad sometimes.
Yes. And then somebody basically said, you can tell he was bullied about it when he was younger, so now he points it out defensively. And I was just sitting...
Oh, my God. The payoff. Oh, that payoff. Oh, my God. I edged perfectly to that. Thank you, Angelo.
I was sitting there reading this, and it took. Okay, can you just let me finish the story, not be a loser about it? Like, I'm not a fucking stand-up comedian, so not everything I say is going to be fucking awesome, okay? Anyway, I read this comment, somebody basically saying that I was bullied as a child because of clear jokes that I make on the stream, and I kept typing, like, and then I just ended up deleting all of it because I'm like, I can't let my own fucking... who gives a shit what this person thinks? So I didn't send it. And that's a real growth opportunity for me. Next up, at UFC 305, we have Tom Nolan taking on Alex Reyes. Talk about value being gone. Those are correct numbers on the screen. There's not a typo. I didn't accidentally hit a 0. We got Tom Nolan at minus 1,000 opening. The best value you ever get from Tom Nolan in this matchup was minus 1,000. He is now minus 1,500. These are Bo Nicoll numbers. He's taking on Alex Reyes, Dominic Reyes' brother. Tom Nolan 7-1 in his career. He is 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off the first win of his UFC career. He's taking on Alex Reyes, 13-4 in his career. 3-2 in his last 5. He is looking for his first win since 2017. Tom Nolan's a long, lean striker. I keep comparing him to Corey Sandhagen, just sort of his stature, the rolled shoulders, how he stands there. His striking is a little more traditional. He's not as loopy or spinny or unorthodox as Sandhagen. He's pretty accurate. He can be technical. No problem getting into a brawl. Outside of that one loss, though, he's got a decent chin. You've seen a lot of videos of him just getting blasted and walking through it. Doesn't mean he's got the best technique in the world, but he does have a decent enough chin. He's got good pressure, lots of volume, good power, not a ton of takedown defense, and he's coming off that bounce-back win over Victor Martinez where he finished him in the first round. He's taking on Alex Reyes. And you may say, who the hell is this guy? Plus 850, plus 1040 if you go to bet openly. Well, he's Dominic Reyes' brother, giant 205-pound Dominic Reyes, who a lot of people think beat John Jones. He's his brother. And it's hard to break him down because he had a 6-year layoff. He got violently, it was a blood disease. I don't remember what it was, but he had some major health issues. So he was out for 6 full years. Since he's come back, all we saw was him just get smoked and finished in what felt like 4 seconds. Before the long layoff, you could watch some tape and make some assumptions of what he's going to be today, and all the tape you're going to get is before the layoff. And in then that part of his career, He was a good pressure guy. He looks to grapple on top. He would throw some heavy punches, look for a stoppage, like decent everywhere with lots of pressure. Tom Nolan is a minus 1,000 favorite. That math means he's 91% chance of winning, right? That's what minus 1,000 is. Now he's minus 1,500. I don't know what that math is. Whatever it is, I still think it's wrong. I mean, I think Tom Nolan wins this fight 99 out of 100 times, 98 out of 100 times. And that's not because Tom Nolan is just this world beater. He is good. He does have some power. But Alex Reyes on a 6-year layoff with major medical issues. I think the biggest thing in his career was, I just want to be able to step foot in that octagon again. And he did that, and it wasn't the best night in the world, but he did that, still has a fight in his contract. They said, why don't you come over here, lose to the local guy? And he said yes, and that's what happens. Tom Nolan wins this fight. The value has been gone since before these odds even came out. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, straight up and honest to the people, and I appreciate that, Angelo, that breakdown. You know, you try to be nice to people, and I get it, right? And not many fighters like you. They all like me, so I get the whole let's be nice to everybody type whatever. Tom Nolan is the absolute worst minus 1,500 favorite in the history of combat sports, maybe in the history of sports I have ever seen in my entire life. This guy is a very average fighter. He is not great. His chin is boo-boo, baby shit. He gets slept by Mata, nearly slept in his last fight against Victor Martinez. If you're a 6'2", lightweight fighting a dude called Victor Martinez who shouldn't even be in the UFC, that guy shouldn't land a fucking punch on you, let alone, and you're a minus 600 favorite, let alone you get in the pocket, drop your hands and get caught and dropped and nearly finish. His striking is fucking terrible. He's got good kicks and good knees at the middle, and he uses those with the deep kicks, but when he throws punches, yeah, he can throw them hard and he can knock out people, but he gets hit and he is a baby fucking chin. And anybody betting him at minus 1,500, you better hold on fucking tight, because Alex Reyes looked actually decent against Charlie Campbell. Charlie Campbell is 10 times the actual boxing striker than Tom Nolan is, and he showed us some decent toughness. Charlie Campbell was lighting him up, took his time, and it took him a little bit to finish Alex even when he was getting hurt. If not, Tom Nolan gets Alex Reyes hurt and he rushes in, Alex Reyes was throwing back, and Charlie was taking his time, so he was slipping shit. But Tom Nolan, if he finds the wrong spot at the wrong time trying to finish this guy, he's going to get fucking slept. There is no way I'm betting on Tom Nolan at these odds. He should be the favorite because he's a 6'2" lightweight that's got these finishes and he's got the range and he can knock people out. But I think he should be like minus 200 at the max. This guy's got a baby chin, and I hope Alex sleeps him.
I think minus 200 is ridiculous. But I don't, you were a little harsh. I don't disagree with everything you're saying. The value has been gone forever. I mean, there were people that saw minus 1,000 and then laid out a shit ton of money and pushed it to minus 1,500, which that is crazy. Because like the Bo Nicoll numbers, that guy's an Olympian. The Bo Nicoll numbers make sense.
Right.
These numbers,
and saying he's the worst minus 1,500, that's like Ronda Rousey and Bo Nicoll and fucking.
Yeah. You didn't say he's a bad fighter. You're just talking about.
I think he's a very average fighter, to be honest.
You're talking about the insane. Yeah, minus 1,500. Here's actually there is a minus 1,200 in the mix there that you would agree kind of sucks. Alexander Romanov. Alexander Romanov was minus 1,200 when he fought Chase Sherman, and he looked it. And then Tybura just sucked the life out of me. He hasn't looked the same since. Either way, Tom Nolan, $9,800 in DraftKings Fantasy. I'm going to go back and look and see what Charlie Campbell scored when he fought Alex Reyes, because this could look similar. And if Charlie Campbell scored 120 points, then it's worth it. If Charlie Campbell scored 100 points, it's not worth it. So I'm going to take a look, see what that looked like, and that's basically how I'm going to assess this, because $9,800 is crazy. I don't know. Somebody tell me in the comment section or live chat. We've got well over 500 people watching. Thank you all very, very much. If UFC, is that the highest I think it's the highest I've ever seen. I can't think of somebody that was more expensive than $9,800 in DraftKings Fantasy. Even Bo Nicoll wasn't $9,800.
I can't stress enough how, and he might get slept. I mean, that's what should happen here, right? But yeah. I mean, Alex Reyes, I didn't think his hands looked that bad versus Charlie.
Yeah, I mean,
he got caught, but I mean,
yeah, I think
offensive striking, and against Tom Nolan, you just have a little bit of offensive striking. I mean, fucking Victor Martinez just randomly found his chin. What the fuck?
I get everything that you're saying, but I still think Tom Nolan, I think he blows through him. I think the odds are ridiculous because it's a fist fight and nobody's odds should ever look like this in a fist fight. But I hear you. Ronda Rousey was these odds when Holly Holm beat her.
He got dropped as a -600. He got knocked out as a -300.
Oh, listen, I get you.
Have fun, guys.
The good news is the value's long gone because if he was -500, -600, it'd be like, oh, should I? But what are you going to do with the -15? It's not even worth it. Anybody who's just adding him to a parlay to add another $30 to your $12,000 payout when all 29 picks hit, it's not worth it. 100% not worth it. If you do want to check out the bets that we do have on the fighters that do have value left, you can do so now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's $10 for an entire month, and that month gets you UFC 305, 2 fight nights, and then UFC 306, which is the Sphere card.
Alex, sorry, I forgot what I was going to say, to be honest with you.
Perfect. Next up at UFC 305, we got Jack Jenkins coming back after an arm injury to take on Herbert Burns, Gilbert Burns' brother. Jack Jenkins, 12-3 in his career. He is 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that TKO elbow injury last year when Chepe took him down and he braced weird and bop. That was it. He's taking on Herbert Burns, 11-5 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. He's looking for his first win in 4 years. Jack Jenkins is another guy that Jacob's going to go in on, but before Jacob does that, let me talk about how I think he's good. Jack Jenkins is a solid striker. He's got real power, good takedown defense. He'll pressure forward. He'll back you up against the cage. He'll look for some control, and then he'll actually work in his own takedowns. People love to talk about the leg kicks, and he's breaking this guy's leg. He broke that guy's leg. His leg kicks are insane, and that's all true. But he has 4 fights under that sort of UFC umbrella with 9 takedowns total. He's coming off that unfortunate injury loss to Chepe Mariscal, where he braced wrong and then just sort of blew out his elbow there. He's taking on Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns is the younger brother of Gilbert Burns, who fights in 2 weeks. And much like Alex Reyes, who we just broke down, he's kind of an embarrassment to the family name. Herbert is not nearly as good as Gilbert. He's a solid grappler. He's got okay power in his hands. He averages a couple of takedowns per 15 minutes. And even though he looks like he genuinely hates to fight, he has some quality wins. If you go back, you got to go back a while, many years. You got to go back 4 years when he still loved the sport. He's got some quality wins. Evan Dunham at the time was pretty good. Derek Minner at the time was pretty good. The problem is Herbert Burns is absolutely 100% submission or bust. And if things get tough, he'll bail out. He's done. I quit. I don't want any part of this. And that's why I think Jack Jenkins wins. I think Jack Jenkins lights up his legs, avoids the takedowns, and Herbert's in a striking match he doesn't want to be in. He'll eventually give up, and Jack Jenkins will win this fight. The odds shot off. I mean, Jack Jenkins was -500 2 days ago. Now he's -800. So those odds absolutely took off, and I think people are looking at this card looking for value, and people are just looking at the opponent, which we tried to do that last week with Kazama. But I do think more often than not, you factor in the quality of the fighter, you factor in their opponent, you're good to go. I think Jack Jenkins wins this fight. Jacob, why don't you tell everybody why you think I'm wrong?
I think Jack Jenkins wins this fight as well, so I don't know what Angelo's talking about, but I think there needs to be...
No, go ahead. All the hate that you were sending to me in text messages, I would like to hear that verbalized out loud right now about how good Herbert Burns is.
I just sat here and just listened to you. I didn't interrupt. I didn't object. I didn't.
Well, you've been trolling me in text messages for 2 days over my Jack Jenkins pick, so I would just love that energy.
I was about to explain that, and then you.
Great.
They're doing whatever you. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I was sent a text today. Hey Jacob, no interruptions. Let's keep it professional.
I didn't send you that text.
Well, okay. Let's keep it professional. No interruptions. I don't need you. I need the professional you, is what you told me. And now you're sitting here.
I'll give you $1,000 if you show people that text from me. $1,000.
My texts are on auto delete like a normal.
Oh, person. Mine aren't. I can pull up our whole text chat if you'd like. Should I do that? Or are you just gonna do the breakdown? So you're just not going to do the breakdown? You're pretending to be frozen because you got caught in a lie? You blinked. Can you just do your breakdown, please? We can't ride this out. This is a pay-per-view card. Like, in all seriousness. 600 people watching. I don't know what stupid bit that was. Here, I'll do it for you. He thinks that Jack Jenkins is terrible. He thinks Jack Jenkins sucks. He thinks that Jack Jenkins is going to end up in a triangle because Herbert Burns is pretty tough. Herbert Burns has slick jiu-jitsu. If you look at any Herbert Burns fight, he's had somebody in trouble before, and he's going to end up with Jack Jenkins in trouble, and he's not going to look like that guy. Did I summarize it for
excuse
you?
me. So anyway, I think people need to give Herbert Burns the respect that he deserves as far as like a first round guy. Listen, I understand who Herbert Burns is, right? If he doesn't get that initial sub, that initial whatever, he's going to struggle, and Jack Jenkins should win this fight. But Jack Jenkins is a guy that can get taken down. When he gets taken down, has shown no sense of urgency in fights before. And if you watch Herbert Burns, he's got some decent takedowns. Last fight was a fucking atrocious. He couldn't get the takedowns. It looked like he didn't know how to take people down and then quit in that fight. He's never getting finished in the first, even though he's got, I think, 7 first-round finishes on his own. Usually gets a second, but he is what he is. But he usually has some decent takedowns. Jack Jenkins, I think, can be taken down by Herbert Burns. And Herbert Burns also has shown that if he gets on top of you, you're going to be in fucking trouble. Even in that Bill Algeo fight, he had him in some real trouble. He was on Pineda a little bit, took him down 3 times. If he takes Jack Jenkins down in the first round and you have Jack Jenkins slips at minus 500, minus 600, you better be fucking worried because this guy can submit fucking anybody in the entire world. So I think that Herbert Burns is live for a first round submission. If you're going to play him, that's all I would play him. I fucking played it. $50 to win $750. Not a premium play, just something I threw out there because I respect who Herbert Burns could be. But Jack Jenkins, he should win this fight because I can't trust Herbert Burns to anything more than just a flyer bet. So Jack Jenkins is a pick, but Jack Jenkins is not as good as people think he is. I mean, he's got leg kicks, and that's about it. Cheppy exposed him. He got exposed a little bit in that other fight where he was just fucking laying there. He's just not that good.
Chepe exposed him. Chepe has looked better and better and better. Like, Chepe has looked unbelievable. Exposed him. He took him down. He braced weird. Exposed
him. He fucking was beating the shit. He was breaking him, systematically breaking him like he breaks people, and then he...
Okay, Chepe has beaten the fuck out of everything they put in front of him.
I didn't say anything about Chepe. I said Chepe exposed him. He got exposed.
So if...
He was the favorite. He got exposed. Who was the lock of the week? Chepe. When you're the favorite and you lose, you got exposed a little bit, especially when you get fucking knocked out.
He got knocked out?
Yeah, he started crying and passed out.
I disagree. He braced on a takedown like an idiot. It blew out his elbow, and that was the end of that. But
you either agree or be wrong.
Well, we're both on the same side of the pick, so I don't know what this argument is about. $9,600 in DraftKings Fantasy. It's a $200 discount on our boy from the last fight, and both of these probably end up being the same. This is what Jacob said a couple of breakdowns ago, where he said Kenan Song might end up being the best value on this card. Those 3 fights, Kenan Song, then Tom Nolan, then Jack Jenkins, those should all be like 3 first-round knockouts in a row. And one of those gentlemen is $8,700. The other 2 are more than $9,500. So if you're building a DraftKings fantasy lineup, that might be something to consider. Obviously, Kenan Song he's not as good as these other 2, and his opponent's a little tougher than these other 2, but we'll see what happens there. $9,600 in DraftKings Fantasy, probably not for me, but if you do want to check out our DraftKings Fantasy Optimizer that will build lineups for you, you can do that now. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month. 1 month gets you UFC 305, 2 fight nights, and then UFC 306. Couple of Super Chatterooskies, $1.99 from Unwell to Brrr. Chepe versus Nate the Train would be fire. He beats the shit out of Nate the Train. That's not even close.
Yeah, Chepe's pretty good.
Yeah, he's a lot better than we knew he was like good, but he's very good. So he smokes Nate the Train. Thank you for
the crazy how well-rounded he is. And it's crazy, and I was talking about on stream too while I was watching the fight. He is one of the rare people that has high-level judo that fucking actually uses the judo. How many people do we know like have judo? Obviously, there's not as many men as girls. Like a lot of the girls do judo. But I mean, yeah, I mean that have these tools in their bag that they just don't use. Chepe It is unreal when you see his back against the fence when Damon Jackson was on him. You could see him just feeling the weight and just waiting, right? I mean, he knows, he's just so confident in that judo that all of a sudden it's just a turn and a throw, and I've never seen somebody fucking toss people the way he tosses people. But that's such an art form that people really don't use in the men's game. You see it in the females a lot, but it is judo, like really good judo. I think people just, like you've talked about before, like, or I've mentioned as well. You know how to defend takedowns at this point in MMA. Defending judo is a lot different.
You only know how to defend judo if you do judo. Like if you've wrestled, then defending takedowns fine. If you wrestled, then even defending judo could be okay, depending on how you wrestled. If you did any Greco,
I'm a judoka.
If you're just an MMA fighter and you've never done actual judo and you're just training takedown defense and cage defense, you'll get tossed. $1.99.
Just a real quick one too. Speaking of judo, Angelo had to use judo to defend my takedown, which I thought was a little bit. I thought that was a little bush league.
That is bush league. Here, I'm gonna take care of this idiot dog that I told Tiffany to lock up before she went out. Address this super chat. You gonna get a soundboard for the live streams?
Okay, guys. Yeah, let me just sit here and entertain you guys while he leaves the graphic up so you can't even fucking see me. This is the kind of literally before the stream starts, Angelo, hey, this is a pay-per-view. He literally tells me this every pay-per-view. Guy, this is hey, Jacob, this is a I got a voicemail. I should play the voicemail. Hey, Jacob, it's Angelo. Just want to give you a quick reminder. This is a pay-per-view night. We're gonna get more viewers than normal. Let's make sure we dial it in, okay? I don't want any jokes. No more sexual innuendos. Please don't mention my AIDS. Just please, let's keep it all professional. And then he just gets up and fucking leaves.
Dude, you have no idea how annoying that is. I was like, Tiff, when you leave, make sure Scout is locked up. Make sure he's locked up.
He went to get his oxygen mask. Angelo. Just the
and
thought of
he's
judo.
not locked up. So I'm going to send her.
This is literally what happened. You thought about when you fought me and you had another little panic attack and you had to go get your inhaler. You're like, oh my. Because you knew how quickly I was about to take you down and you had to use fucking judo. What a fucking bush league move, man. I had that single. I'm running down, about to slam you, and then, the hip toss.
I guess we'll just have to run it back.
Whatever
rules you want.
Oh, I'm 100 pounds more. Let me just hip toss you.
Whatever rules you want. We'll just run it back. Next up, at UFC 305, we have Casey ONeill taking on Luana Santos. Casey ONeill, 9-2 in her career, 3-2 in her last 5, riding a 2-fight skid. What do you want? What?
No, it's hand check.
I
just want to be real clear. I don't want any controversy. I respect women. I'm here.
She's taking on Luana Santos on short notice. 8-1 in her career, 5-0 in her last 5. She's coming off that quick win over Maria Agapova. And this is an interesting breakdown because Luana Santos, as you can see, opened up as an underdog. She is now very squarely the favorite. Money just continues to come in on her. And the reality is, I get it. I got some money on her as well, but let's go ahead and break it down. We got Casey ONeill. Casey ONeill is a Muay Thai striker. She's got solid elbows. She is willing to brawl. She'll get into a firefight. She can wrestle as well. 8 takedowns in the UFC, a 66% takedown defense. She has incredible volume, landing almost 9 significant strikes per minute, which is a crazy number, but she does get hit. She gave up over 200 significant strikes in her last 2 fights combined. She is coming off that second loss in a row, this time to Ariana Lipski, where she was submitted in the second round. She's taking on Luana Santos. Luana Santos, very slick judoka. We just talked about judo, and Luana is that girl. She has both traditional takedowns and those judo throws, and she'll use those to get fights to the ground. On the ground, she'll be patient on top. She'll do an amazing job of keeping that position, working through it, and then if you move while she's striking, she'll snatch something up and she'll get that submission. She has no problem getting to a slug fight on her feet. We saw a little bit of power from her in that last fight. Listen, before her skid, Casey ONeill was a solid prospect. She was 9-0. She had a couple of good wins. She was supposed to be this Muay Thai striker. She showed up, did some wrestling, and I was like, wow, how good is she? And then as her hype went up, so did the level of competition. And she didn't fully meet that bar just yet. She lost to Jennifer Maia. That's a quality loss. Jennifer Maia is good. She's well-rounded. Jennifer Maia is tough. You can look past that, right? She hung in the striking department, defended a few takedowns. I think she took a round on the scorecards, or at least 2 of those scorecards. But being taken down and submitted the way Ariane Lipski did it, and being in this matchup against somebody who we just saw had power in her hands, somebody we knew could toss her on her head. Luana Santos fought Stephanie Egger at a different weight class, also on somewhat short notice, tossed her around. I think Luana Santos wins this fight. I have a half a unit on her at -140. What do you think, Jakey Bombalotes?
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, both these females, God bless them for what they do for this country, what they do for this world. Not only in the octagon, but outside the octagon on the socials. We appreciate them in every facet of every area. And I just want to say, big fan of both of you guys. King Casey, Luana Santos, Doodle Bam, how you doing? But to get to the breakdown, and honestly, ladies, I hate to pick between either one of you. I mean, if it was both of you in front of me, I'm not choosing. I think we're going to have to make it work, So, but unfortunately, I do have to make a choice here today. And when I'm looking at this fight, when I'm looking at this breakdown, I do love Luana Santos and her abilities and her judo and to be able to get the fights to the ground. With that said, I don't think she's a very good striker. She throws a lot of her strikes from the hip. She is very just all gas, no breaks, no real defense, wants to get in your face. And that's been working against the level of competition that she's faced up to this point. I think King Casey's going to be a little bit different. I think King Casey is the better striker here. She got clipped by Ariane Lipski in her last fight, obviously finished on the ground. She said once she got hurt, she really didn't know what was going on, a little bit concussed in there, so that makes a little bit more sense when you see how she was taken down and how easily she was submitted. Ariane Lipski, I think, would fucking smoke Luana Santos at this point. Ariane has looked absolutely fantastic in a lot of her fights. I just believe that Casey is going to be good enough to avoid those clinches, right? As you move up these rankings, these girls understand mixed martial arts a little bit better. And if she avoids those clinches, especially just in that first round, I think Luana Santos is really going to struggle on the feet and really start to gas as this fight goes on. And Casey ONeill, to her point, King Casey, I know that she got knocked out, or not knocked out, but she was hurt and finished. Typically, she is a bad bitch. She is a girl that's going to be in your face the entire time. And if there's ever a moment where Luana Santos looks like she's getting tired and desperate, whoo, King Casey's going to be all over. I'm telling you right now, it's not a popular pick, Angelo. But I'm going King Casey to get it done. Let me be clear. I have not bet King Casey yet because I made a rule, never bet against Brazilians. But we might be breaking it Saturday.
Yeah, we're very far apart on
and
this.
She's only 26 too. A lot of people are like, oh, the knee surgery, she's never going to be the same. She's a young girl as well, so.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying she's bad. I don't think she's overrated. I just think this is a really tough matchup. Luana Santos also continues to get better. I think it is.
Just
I'll bet you straight up.
Win.
I'll bet you straight up at those opening
I said
odds.
I'm literally said I'm not ever betting against a Brazilian.
Isn't that interesting?
You don't have any money.
What are you talking about? I'm not even bet openly. I'll bet you real money outside of bet openly. I'll deposit and bet openly. Yeah, I lost a couple of bet openly.
Week after week. I have $1,600 in my bet openly. Because you bet me, and then with my money, I started betting Marcus what's the next bet, and I literally made $800 off of him in the last 2 weeks.
Has he stopped?
We can't find a bet
that
you
guys all agree on everything.
Picks, yeah, Lily, this is the only one that we disagree on as well, and I told him no as well, and that would have been free money from him.
Yeah, I think Luana Santos. We knew the judo was there. We've seen her fight bigger
her striking
people.
Is terrible.
She doesn't need the strike. She doesn't need the strike.
She strikes like this.
She doesn't need to strike. Like
you got to strike to get to the clinch. Casey's gonna be little jab.
Okay, where was that jab in her last 2 fights? Luana Santos is my pick. Casey ONeill is Jacob's pick. We are full-blown split here. $8,600 in DraftKings Fantasy, $7,600 in DraftKings Fantasy. This is a pick your side situation. Yes.
Somebody also, I mentioned this. I'm glad somebody put it in the chat. Somebody said we're talking about the Casey plus 3.5. And if you listen to anybody talk about Luana Santos in this fight, she fucking dominates. She takes her down. She might submit her, but she just fucking dominates the fight. If you look at inside the distance for both these girls, I think it's plus 360. It's plus 360 for both of them. If you look at the plus 3.5 for Casey, it's minus 200. At least that's what it opened up as. I don't know what it is now.
Positive, she'll win a round, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone that thinks that Luana is going to smoke her, that's not where the money is. So if you think you smoke her, play the minus 3.5 or the inside the distance or something like that. But the odds makers think that this can be a close fight. And this is a close fight into the second round. I'll take King Casey against the cardio of Luana fucking 10 out of 10 times.
I could see, I think that plus 3.5. I think Luana Santos wins. I don't think it's going to be a steamrolling necessarily.
If it's close, she fucking loses.
Or she wins the first two, slows down in the third, and that's it.
Oh, she's going to slow down after the first.
Well, Tiffany just texted me back. I texted Tiffany. I said, you didn't lock the dog up. He's screaming like a rabid animal. She goes, I did lock him up. One of the kids probably got up and let him out. The kids are supposed to be
Wow, she just threw him under the bus. That's interesting. Because she didn't. She didn't lock him up.
She did. Well,
fuck them kids. That's what she said. Fuck them kids.
I'm curious now because tomorrow.
You should text her back. Well, I didn't know which one it was, so I beat both their fucking asses and see if she gets guilty about it. See if she feels guilty.
They both said it wasn't them, so I just kept hitting them, and they still haven't admitted it. We're gonna waterboard these children. I don't hit my kids, girls. They're small girls. I don't hit the girls. Next up, at UFC 305, we got Josh Culibao taking on Ricardo Ramos. Josh Culibao, 11-3 in his career. 3-2 in his last 5. He is on a 2-fight skid. He's taking on Ricardo Ramos. 16-6 in his career. 2-3 in his last 5 as well. Also on a 2-fight skid. This is another fight that's got the community split. I was going to go place a plus 3.5 on this bet, and it's not available because the odds are too close. We got Josh Culibao. Oh, no, wait. It is available, but it was juiced as hell is the problem.
What were you talking about? Wasn't listening.
Well, I'll talk about it in a second. A plus 3.5 on Ricardo Ramos. It was there, but it was juiced. There's another
minus 160.
It was worse than that before. Minus 160 is not terrible. Either way, we got Josh Culibao. He's a solid striker. He's aggressive. He's tough. He throws heat, and he's always live for a knockout. He is willing to engage in a dirty inside-the-pocket fight. He's got no problem making it ugly, and you can see that with his negative striking differential. You don't need to be a math wizard to see that he gets hit more than he hits his opponents. He's not much of a grappler, but he does have some solid takedown defense at 67%. Jacob, take a wild guess how many offensive takedowns he has in the UFC.
Ricardo Ramos?
Josh Culibao.
How many offensive takedowns he has?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like 0?
It's 0 on 10 attempts. He is 0 for 10 on takedown attempts in the UFC.
Yes!
He's coming off that decision loss to Danny Silva, where he was chinny early, but he seems to wake up after being dropped and took over the striking. He's taking on Ricardo Ramos. He is a very dangerous fighter. He's good everywhere. Tall, rangy, slick BJJ. He's got good kicks, good spinning kicks, high kicks. He'll work that body. He's got a great jab, and he has got leg kicks as well. He's very fast in transitions, and he's coming off that second first-round submission loss in a row. This time, he got caught. He landed a couple of strikes. He had 2 takedowns, and then that guillotine got snatched up. And I talked about this in my quick picks. The more I stare at these numbers, the more crazy they are to me. I don't think Culibao should be a huge favorite, and he's not today.
Did you say Culibao?
No, I said Culibao. I don't fuck up words. That's weird. Just last week, he was a 2-1 favorite. So what you see in the chart here are the opening odds and the current odds. He opened at minus 115. He's currently minus 133. But somewhere in between, he shot up. Minus 150. It's going back. Because somewhere during the week, he shot up to like minus 180. And that's when I saw the odds, and I was like, he should not be that big of a favorite. The reality is, he is tough. He absolutely should win this fight. He's good. I think he does win this fight, but he's been chinny, and he can't defend a takedown. Ricardo Ramos is dangerous. He's willing to wrestle. Culibao is going to be the pick because I do think he can make the fight ugly. and hopefully move around enough and slow this down, be the local guy, do the local things, and squeeze out a close decision. Culibao is the ridiculously ever so slight pick, which is why I was going to go plus 3.5. Maybe what I'm going to do, Jacob, while you're talking, I've got my confidence levels for every single pick. Maybe I'll go do plus 3.5 for every single one of my low confidence fighters. Maybe we'll do that. And Josh Culibao will be one, or Ricardo Ramos will be one of them.
Ricardo Ramos.
What do you think of this fight, Jacob?
I'll be straight up and honest with you. And this is full
straight up now, baby. Won't you? Sorry. Oh. Hit and run. That's like your thing, and that really just came over me. Why don't you be honest with us? Don't lie to us, Jacob. Why don't you be honest with us?
How often do things come over you?
I don't know what we're doing here. Who do you think wins this fight?
Pretty often. Happen a lot.
Who do you think wins this fight?
I mean, this goes back to the whole conversation I had while you were gone about professionalism and the text that I get that I can't do stuff like that. Don't do that stuff like that, right? I played them the voicemail.
This time you're right. I've never sent that text, but this time you're right.
I played them the voicemail of you being like, serious, you can't joke around. And then you just break out in song and then it might break down. I'm trying to be honest with the people. I'm trying to be full transparency here. You guys love the lock of the week, right? Woo! Ricardo Ramos is not the lock of the week, but I'll be honest with you, in my opinion, he's probably the most logical choice for a lock of the week. I just think he's the flat-out better fighter than Josh Culibao. Josh Culibao is a fun dude, right? And when you're a fun dude, that's because you're in a lot of back and forth fights, and he's in a lot of back and forth fights. How does he lose fights that he's in a back and forth fight with? He gets backed up with pressure, and he gets taken down. What does Ricardo Ramos do to people? Normally, he takes people down, and he keeps the pressure, and he's a more dynamic striker, and he has the bigger moments. Aside from Ricardo Ramos jumping into a guillotine for the third time, which the odds of that have to be fucking astronomical, I think he is going to get the takedowns because when he's getting those guillotines, he's taking people down. He has good takedowns. I think he can take Josh Culibao down, be the more aggressive grappler. I know Culibao can be a little bit slick in those transitions, but I think Ricardo is better in the wrestling, better in the grappling, and honestly, I think he's a better striker as well. So I bet him as a dog. And if I didn't have the lock of the week, who I have, I would it probably would be Ricardo Ramos, but I got more of a special lock of the week, Angelo.
I'm looking forward to it. I just placed that bet. Half a unit, Ricardo Ramos plus 3.5.
I have a money line on
minus 160. You shut up. Your bets are premium. You're the hot hand. $8,500 in DraftKings Fantasy, $7,700. Listen, I picked Josh Culibao to win, but I think it's a really tight back and forth fight, and that's where the plus 3.5s are great because a plus 3.5 is just betting the spread. You're just buying points on the judge's scorecard. The way the math works out, we've done it a million times for you, is you just need you need a fighter to win one round on all three judges' scorecards. So if this is a 29-28 decision for Josh, the bet hits. If it's a split decision for Josh, the bet hits. If Ricardo wins outright, the bet hits. The only way this bet doesn't hit is if Josh wins a 30-27 or stops Ricardo Ramos. Every other outcome, essentially,
30,
Ricardo
30,
Ramos.
30, 90. Okay? 27, 27, 27. Angelo?
What? 81.
81. Okay? If you have a 3.5 bet, plus 3.5, you're going to add that 3.5 here. What's so funny?
No, go ahead.
81 plus 3.5 is?
It doesn't work. 84.5.
84.5. So if the scorecards are 30-27, this is how you figure it out. The plus 3.5 does not hit because it's 37-27. You need some 29-28s. You need them. You just do math. It's just math, people. You do this. You put this here. The minus 3.5, you do the same thing over here. Over here, we got the quadratic formula.
Okay, we're done. $7,700 in DraftKings Fantasy. You're going to spend that quadratic formula. You spending $7,700 in DraftKings Fantasy?
You don't know the quadratic formula?
No, I do. I'm the math wizard of the two of us. So how fast I did 27 times 3. Like, bang. You going to spend the $7,700 in DraftKings Fantasy?
Yeah.
On your boy? Great. Got it. If you want to unlock all the other picks, the bets, Jacob gave you some sneak bets. I just gave you a bet here. You can do all of that right now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top.
Someone just goes, 81.
Nice try, Thomas. I was there
Stupid
minutes
ass,
ago.
you stupid fuck.
I was there
You
minutes ago.
stupid, slow ass.
WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's $10 a month. You're going to get UFC 305. 2 fight nights, actually very good main evented fight nights. And then UFC 306, which is the Noche card. The greatest value in this space. Literally. End of story, period. Can't argue it whatsoever. Mexican with an 3 and a 4. Vibe with a 3. $1.99. I clipped that. Anyone else? Damn it. I don't know when he sent this 6 minutes ago.
Oh.
What did he clip?
You saying that you waterboard your children?
Oh. Well, I don't. I said I don't hit them. I said I don't hit them. They're little girls. You don't hit girls. Here's a little. This is parenting
Speaking
advice.
of waterboarding.
This is parenting advice I get from Tiffany. So if anybody's out there raising daughters, she said, you're the man of this house, and they will learn how you treat them is how other men can treat them. So if you hit them, they'll think it's okay to be hit by men. If you yell at them, they'll think it's okay to be yelled at by men. So I've taken that to heart, and
Let me spark this story up, because as I was walking past a house today on their balcony, I heard somebody slap their kid so fucking hard. It was unreal. It literally was like this from, you could hear it echo through the complex, and then the kid just fucking losing their mind. It was like they had to pull that thing back from here and just fucking, it was so loud.
Well, and I had not hit them, so it's not like she had to like interfere and be like, "Hey, listen, stop hitting." Like, but she was like, "You can't yell at them. You can't, like, you gotta." No, I was just talking about how to raise them. And
I think something would have sparked that.
No, I got beat bad. I got immigrant parents. I got beat with a belt.
You know how terrifying my father was. He never laid a hand on me in my life, and I was scared to death of him.
Yeah.
That is fucking intimidation.
Yeah.
That is fucking intimidation.
Jacob, we talk too much. We got 600-something people watching, and
Yuhan's
Hagos is
I'm trying to
very
keep them
upset with
online.
how much
I'm
we talk.
trying, guys.
Sorry, Yuhan Hagos. There's no shortage of people with Tapology on in the background that just get right to the point. I recommend you watch that.
Yeah, so Ricardo Ramos, according to this page, is coming off a guillotine loss. Looks like, oh my lord, he is coming off, looks like back-to-back guillotine losses here. He is 16-6. That is 0-2 in his last 2.
Go watch those guys.
That is literally 90%. That is literally 90% of this space. I have a web camera. I can do this. Boom. Let me just read what Tapology says. Next up, at UFC 305, we have the featured prelim of the evening. And the UFC said this is a monster card with a monster main event. And we are going to put together a fight that may... Is this what you're laughing at?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I was about to go in on... I'm doing it. I'm finishing my bit. And the UFC said, I'm putting together a monster card top to bottom because we don't go to Australia very often. And we have an amazing main event that has been in the works for 2 full years. And we're going to go out and we're going to get the worst siblings that any of these fighters could possibly have. We're going to get Justin Tafa, the Wish version. We're going to get Johnny Walker, the Wish version. Gilbert Burns, the Wish version. Go get me the brothers who are not nearly as good. Does
Valter
anybody have
isn't even
Alex's...
The Wish version. I mean, he's worse than that.
Yeah, he's the Pets.com version.
What you got wrong with Pets.com? What the fuck?
They went out of business in the .com era.
The Toys R Us version.
No, Toys R Us was... No, that was great.
Well,
Toys R Us is
not
better than
there
anything.
anymore. What's one purchase that you remember making at Toys R Us on your own as a kid? I remember the first thing I bought at Toys R Us on my own.
As an adult? Well, you
No,
mean on
like
your own? Like you walked in?
Like as a kid, the first purchase you ever made? Because I
don't
assume your parents would buy you stuff every once in a while, but the first
I
time
think
you
the
bought
first
anything on
the
your
first
own,
one
like
I
with
could ever
allowance
remember
money or whatever.
It wasn't Toys R Us because that was far.
Well, the question was Toys R Us.
Well, then I don't know if we ever purchased anything at Toys R Us.
All right, then
far.
you go with your stupid story. Just get it over with. Go.
We walked down the railroad tracks to the shopping plaza. We had a Toy Works, and I bought South
Free
Park.
massages in the back.
South Park. I bought South Park on Nintendo 64 in middle school.
Toy World? Was that what you said?
Toy Works.
Jesus Christ, yeah. Just behind the curtain there, little boy.
What's your first purchase? I'm gonna have to redo this intro for this.
It was
one.
a
What's your first purchase?
it was a regular PlayStation 1 extender, so you could have 4 slots for controllers. You know, you plug it in, so instead of 2 people play, you do like multi whatever. And I didn't have friends to be able to use those, but it was like a goal of mine, right? Like let me get ahead of this and buy this just in case I happen to make friends this year. You know, this might be the year where people come to my birthday and I need all these slots for games, but typically it's just me and my sister.
You don't plug into this one.
Or sometimes, you plug in both controllers, you sit there and, I can play against
the wrestling game, yeah.
Royal Rumble. I'm beating your ass. I'm beating your ass. Yeah. No, you're not. No, you're not. Oh, got you now.
All right. Let's break down this fight. We got Junior Tafa taking on Valter Walker. Sounds like a vampire saying Walter Walker. Junior Tafa 5-2 in his career. He doesn't have a very long MMA career, and that's because he was a professional kickboxer. 3-2 in his last 5, coming off that short notice loss to Marcos Rogerio de Lima, where he literally stepped up, I think at the weigh-ins or right before the weigh-ins. They did the whole switcheroo. Taking on Valter Walker, 11-1 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off the first loss of his career, which was one of the most embarrassing performances we have ever seen in our entire life. Junior Tafa, nasty kickboxer. He's got some power. He's got good footwork. He has a willingness to engage. He's Justin Tafa's younger brother, but they physically are not the same. He's long. He's lean. He's not the short, stocky guy that can defend takedowns somewhat well. He's got good power. He's got a good chin. He's a little faster than Justin, a little more athletic. The question has always been, do these high-level kickboxers that come over have the takedown defense? And Junior does not. We watched him get pushed around a little bit by Kamaru Usman's wish version brother in Muhammad Usman. We're taking on...
Not close either.
It is... Dude, I didn't realize how many siblings were in this freaking sport until I started rattling them off for this breakdown.
Yeah, like...
Oh, there we go. The Diaz brothers.
No, it was... I was going to say Ryan Hall and Uriah Hall.
Yeah, they're very similar. Randy Couture almost fought on the same card as his son, or maybe they actually did. They were trying to, but Randy was old and the UFC hated him at that point, and his son was in Bellator. Then we got Valter Walker. He's Johnny Walker's brother. Like Johnny, he's enormous. He's 6'6". He's an imposing guy. Unlike Johnny, he's a Nurmagomedov. He's diving at legs. He's shooting a million takedowns. He's not the spinning, kicking, like fancy striker. He is a straight up through and through wrestler, and that's because he spent a giant chunk of his career and life in Russia, where he's been grinding on those wrestling mats. His striking is not good at all. His gas tank is horrendous, and he's coming off that ridiculous UFC debut where he was exhausted after about 30, 40 seconds. Neither one of these guys are very good. And I did a whole speech, ranting and raving. You can't bet on Valter Walker. If you're thinking about betting on Valter Walker, just go watch his last fight and then look yourself in the mirror and be like, is that a guy I can trust with my money? And then I saw the plus in front of his odds, and I did bet on Valter Walker. I think he can get some takedowns. Muhammad Usman took down Junior Tafa. Muhammad Usman sucks. Valter Walker has trash cardio, no striking, but he's got real nice takedowns. And Jacob shared a wonderful picture with us. Why don't you tell us about that picture and who you think wins this fight?
Okay, thanks, Angelo. Yeah, just a quick little reference here to Valter Walker. I was just doing a quick little glance on his Instagram, as I typically do, to all these fighters. And thanks for bringing this up, Angelo. Really great job by you. Great job running this show, by the way. I think you're doing fantastic. But I was on his Instagram, and he posted a picture, and it's pretty interesting to me, Angelo. Here is the picture of him in that Bresky fight. Obviously, large and in charge and was dominant in that fashion. It seems like he is working on his cardio, working on his abdominals. No doubt about that. Here is the follow-up picture now. And honestly, even if he didn't have any more cardio than he did, I still think he could beat a guy like Junior Tafa because he was still getting takedowns, even though he was tired in that fight. And Junior is probably one of those guys, but if he actually is taking his cardio serious and taking his fitness regimen serious, I think he has a chance to dominate this fight. He's pretty good takedowns, as you mentioned, Angelo. Great job. I got to go Valter Walker here, and I think he's got a chance to really dominate. Go ahead, Angelo.
If you guys are wondering what the hell he just did and why he did that, this is how easy it is to get Jacob to go into a bit. All I said was, and I just said it with some weird inflection in my voice, why don't you show him the picture, Jacob, and then let us know who you think wins this fight. It just, I said it in normal voice, but it sounded like a news. It sounded like
Thanks,
a news
Angelo.
handoff.
I'm on site here.
So that he just went news
The
route for no
hurricane's
reason.
fucking coming, and I'm the only one on the beach. I said, oh my God, I feel like we're going to die. But the news team said, nope, Jacob, you got to stay on the beach. So here it comes. Wish us luck. Thoughts and prayers.
Just literally out of nowhere. That's the difference between Jacob and the Tapology boys.
There goes a tree.
We're both on the same. There goes Valter's cardio. We're both on the same side here. Listen, if he was a favorite, if those odds stayed where they opened, I wouldn't have touched it. No way. But watching him just slowly drip out into an underdog, I was like, all right, screw it. Let's do it. And it's him and Kenan's song I parlayed for plus money because Valter's an underdog. And honestly, it should hit. Valter should Nurmagomedov his way to a win. Kenan Song should knock out Ricky Glenn. And all of a sudden, you have a parlay that's got some really good odds on it. And that's not typically my style. So I went that route, baby. $8,000 in DraftKings Fantasy. Yes, please. What?
The only thing that I do worry about a little bit, and I'll credit this a little bit to, again, with the interruption. I mean, it's been every time I open my mouth. I see you're very patient.
Mood, man. Yeah, sorry about
that. And web guy Josh kind of mentioned this as well, and it's something to think about for Valter is you saw Makayev talk about, they told me, don't be boring, don't wrestle.
Oh, yes.
You saw Carl Williams, it started coming out, and I don't know how true this is, but somebody was in Carl Williams' camp, and somehow it got out that the UFC also told Carl Williams, hey, don't be boring. Don't wrestle. You got to try to do some stuff here. If they're in the ear of Valter Walker and they're telling him not to wrestle, it could end up very, very bad. So I don't know if that's actually a thing that's happening behind the scenes. It seems a little bit crazy, but when you look at the performances of Makayev and of Carl Williams and stuff, it's like that's not good,
And that was a great point out by Josh the Web guy. That's a great point. You bringing it up now. Let's all collectively, we have almost 700 people watching us live. This video hopefully does.
Like the stream if you haven't already. We're trying to pop those numbers up.
Hopefully this video does about 20-something thousand views. If Valter Walker does not wrestle, then we all know, we just talked about it collectively, then we all know the UFC is in their ear, and from this point forward, we cannot trust anybody who needs takedowns to win because the UFC is meddling, and that really fucks with our bets, and honestly, we should all sue the UFC for antitrust or something. You're fucking with the outcomes. You're fucking with the outcomes. This is a professional sport, and you're fucking with the outcomes. That quite literally could be illegal. I don't know, but it could be illegal.
And I just, I didn't want to mention this or bring it up. I don't like to brag about myself, but I have been secretly going to law school, and I passed the bar.
Is it illegal?
What?
Is it illegal, Mr. Law School?
I'll have to check my book.
Okay. Well, thanks for bringing that up. We got a couple of super chats. $2 Canadian. We love you boys with a Z. We watch because you talk. Oh, that's a response to that dude that was like, they talk too much. Thank you so much. We love y'all too. I'm a Southern now.
Wants to see the manager. You know how many times I've been out with Angelo and he's complained about something at a restaurant?
Literally never. Don't see, but that's those lies will bother me more than anything. I'd rather you think I hit my kids than think I'm a Karen. Because I know I don't hit them. But people might think that I like send back food. Dude,
excuse me.
As loud.
How many times you've never done that? Excuse me.
Never.
And you do this too. Excuse me.
Yeah. Go ahead. Do
excuse
fake
me.
snap.
Excuse me.
Okay.
This is pink. There is pink in here.
You're describing Tiffany. That's
excuse
not
me.
me.
Excuse me. I see pink.
Yeah. No. That's
I
her.
see pink.
Trevor McKay with another 5 spot. Walter takes this one. We love the extra banter. Thank you. $7 to tell us you appreciate us, and I appreciate you. We got Mexican with all the numbers saying, Jacob, bring Dutch back. Angela was telling me how he needs another Her Country concert. He needs another Her Country concert. I don't like country music. Not my jam. And actually, everybody complains when everybody comes over. There's some big country star
Put
here
some music on as soft and slow. Baby, we ain't got no place
Nobody wants to hear
go.
it. I'm watching the numbers go down.
I hope you understand. I've been waiting for this all day long.
Anyway, we're moving on. Can't mention music in front of Jacob. Next up, at UFC 305, we have the main card opener. We have Jingliang Li taking on Carlos Prates. Jingliang Li, 19-8 in his career. 3-2 in his last 5. He is alternating wins and losses. He's taking on Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates, 5-0 in his last 5, riding an 8-fight knockout streak. This is the main card opener, and we're expecting a really fun fight. Jingliang's a good boxer. He's got good volume, very real power. He'll mix in low kicks to try to slow you down before sending that big power over the top. But as solid as his striking is, he has holes in his grappling. He isn't a complete fish out of water, but his 60% takedown defense gives his opponents a path if they were worried about the power. He's coming off that split decision loss to Daniel Rodriguez, where many people thought that he won. He's taking on the very dangerous Carlos Prates. He's a dangerous striker, big power, good range control, pretty light in his feet. He manages to throw kicks to any body part whenever he wants to. He will launch head kicks at the drop of a dime. He'll throw spinning back kicks. He'll defend most takedowns that come his way. He has very low hands and a stance that looks similar to Alex Pereira's. And as I mentioned, he's coming off his 8th consecutive knockout in a row. This should be Carlos Prates all day. He should be light years ahead. He should be faster, cleaner on the feet, the much better striker. Jingliang's getting older. He's getting a little slower. He hasn't fought in basically 2 years. My only concern, I think Prates wins. I think he runs away with it. My only concern is that Jingliang is very, very durable. And I don't know what Prates is going to look like over the course of an entire 15 minutes. We've seen him take his time. We've seen him do his thing. He should win. I think he wins. The pick is Prates. But Jingliang is durable. I don't think we're going to get like another highlight knockout from Carlos. What do you think, Jakey boy?
I think there's going to be opportunity. You know, Lee is a guy coming off of basically, I guess, fucking like paralyzed. I mean, he had spinal surgery and then was off for 2 years, and Carlos Prates is showing you who he can be. You know, I called the Trevin fight, the Trevin Giles fight. I said Trevin was going to have success in the striking because Carlos Prates will let you win minutes, right? I mean, he is a typical kind of slow-paced Muay Thai guy that's going to wait for that big shot, and in those moments, you're going to win minutes. And I said that Trevin Giles was going to win too many minutes, get overconfident, and then get slept in the second round. That's exactly what happened. And I think the same thing could happen here. Lee is a pressure guy. He likes to have fun in there. And if he gets in there and starts ripping this dude and he hears the crowd, he's probably going to get overconfident and get slept as well. I know that people are going to be saying, but he's never been knocked out before. He's never been knocked out before. Just because something has never happened doesn't mean it cannot happen. I promise you that, especially against a guy that seems to have a death touch in Carlos Prates. I tried to fucking... I know better than anybody how dangerous Carlos Prates can be. I had my Charlie Radke lock of the week. He fucking demolished him. I thought Charlie Radke was going to be tough enough to get in the pocket, make this dirty, and this guy will start slowing down. He didn't get it done. I don't think a guy coming off spinal surgery and a 2-year layoff is going to get it done either. I like Carlos Prates, and I bet him straight up.
I'm with you. We're on the same side here. I also have a bet with Prates there. I do think the round over could be a sneaky good bet as well. But to your point, you're never knocked out until you're knocked out. And Jingliang, long layoff, not going to be nearly as fast. All of those things could be a problem here. Carlos has proven to be insanely dangerous. The only way you play him in DraftKings Fantasy, though, is if you do think he gets that finish. If this goes to a decision, that $9,200 is not going to be worth it. It just isn't going to be worth it. There's not going to be any grappling on that side of the house. And if Jingliang makes this fight go long, it might be literally just from holding Prates against the cage, slowing the whole pace down and just making it kind of boring, honestly. So the only way you got to go that 9,200 is if you think he knocks him out. And you do think he knocks him out?
I think that this was definitely a setup fight. And you know how else I know that?
How else?
Guess who was on the embedded today for like 2 minutes with his mother, doing a whole spot. They set the cameras to Sao Paulo for Carlos Prates. For him to he was put on this main card and now he's on the embedded and like, hey, this is our new guy. That's what they're telling you. This is our new guy.
It could be. It could be for sure. It could be.
It was fucking Izzy, DDP, Kai Car-France, and Carlos Prates and Erceg. I mean, that's boom.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. And sometimes you just got to trust the UFC's process there. They have their ways of turning people into superstars. Carlos certainly fits that bill with the highlight knockouts and the exciting style. And if the UFC is telling all these wrestlers stop wrestling, then that also means they're hyping up the strikers. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools.
You know that dude smokes cigarettes.
Carlos Prates? He looks like he smokes cigarettes.
Yeah, he literally just like... yeah. It's like one of the greatest. It hurt my fucking heart at the time, but now I reflect back on it. It was a really cool moment of when he found out he won the bonus for knocking out Charlie Radke. He just fucking ripping a dart. There's like a screenshot of him like smirking like this with the cigarette in his fucking mouth or in his hand or whatever. Just knocked the dude out, just lighting up cigarettes. Just got told he won $50,000. He just like, nice.
That is crazy. He smokes cigarettes, but I mean, I guess he doesn't need his cardio. We haven't seen him pushing.
He doesn't really do anything until he does something. Yeah. So
exactly, he's just fast. But if you do want to check out the picks, the bets, the artificial intelligence,
and cigarettes really aren't that bad. I mean,
the round line leans. We're already on thin ice. The round line leans and more. Just go to WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. It's only $10 a month, and that 1 month of access will get you 305, 2 fight nights, and then 306, which is the Noche card. We do have a $5 super chat from Rusty Moore. That is a normal profile picture. And he said, I got an idea. Let's see if anyone on this card trains or has ever trained with Charalampos Grigoriou. And if they have, fade the fuck out of that guy. I'm with you. And that's the entire Sarah Longo fight camp because that's where he came from. And that is a good gym with a couple of killers in there with some insane cardio. So for him to not... To not have that cardio is a bit surprising. Very, very, very surprising. Next up, at UFC 305, we have Tai Tuivasa taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Tai Tuivasa 14-7 in his career. A very unfortunate 1-4 in his last 5, and he is on a 4-fight skid. He's taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik, 14-5 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off that main event win over Shamil Gaziev. If you guys didn't know, Rozenstruik was on our show. Jakey Boy and I were sitting in these chairs and we hung out with Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And so did premium members. Premium members were able to call into the show and ask him questions live.
Oh. And guess
it's
what?
Not a premium pitch. It's not a premium pitch. But go ahead.
Right. And last week we had Adrian Yanez on. It was a lot of fun. If you guys haven't watched those shows, we're trying to get fighters on. And I believe, barring any issues, this week, you guys are, 700 people in here. Guess what? If you guys watch Thursday, we'll talk fights. And I believe that Yusuf Zalal should be on as well. So if you guys want to ask him a question or be in the chat or hang out, I think we're going to hang out with Yusuf Zalal this Thursday. So check it out. And also, I'll be streaming Contender Series tomorrow. So thanks for watching, guys. And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you're like, we got
Wrapping
three
it
more
up.
fights. We got 3 more fights. Anyway, my takeaway from him being on the show is he's a lot cooler and more casual than I thought he would be. First
awesome.
thing he did when he hopped on the show was make fun of Jacob for wearing sunglasses, like right off the rip. So it's like, what do you mean? What are you making a face for?
I don't know if that's true. I thought
That's
he made fun
literally
of
true. No, he made fun of you for wearing sunglasses.
you. He was like, wow, that camera adds 80 pounds, doesn't it?
And then you said, I wish, because I'm a skinny little bitch boy. Tuivasa is not a skinny bitch boy. He's a heavy-handed striker with solid volume, great low kicks. He is fast. He is powerful. He's got fantastic leg kicks, a piercing jab, a big overhand. He won 5 fights in a row. He was looking spectacular, and then it's just sort of been a drop-off there. He's lost 4 in a row. Most recently, he was taken down and submitted. Before that, he was cracked and knocked out. And Tuivasa was a man who really relied on his chin to do the things he needed to do. He was an offensive striker with not a ton of defense, but his offense was fast. It was powerful. He had leg kicks. He had some success. But without the chin, things are changing up a little bit. He's taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik, also a very heavy-handed striker. He's a Muay Thai striker by trade, traveled the world, has been fighting Muay Thai for the majority of his life. In the octagon, however, he's not a typical Muay Thai offensive guy. He's mostly a counter striker. If you overcommit, he's there. If you're off balance, he's there. In the last fight, we saw the jab over and over and over again. He was a little hesitant at times with Shamil Gaziev. I think he was worried about the takedowns, and then once those takedowns weren't what everybody thought they might be, all of a sudden that jab was out there. He was lighting up Gaziev's face until he eventually stopped that fight. He literally outstruck that man 127-22. And these are heavyweights. Anything can happen in a heavyweight fight. One punch on either side of this octagon can change this entire fight. I think Jairzinho wins this fight because we've seen his chin hold up. And while Ty's chin used to hold up, it has been fading over the last couple of years. I also think that Jairzinho is just the better striker, right? I think he's a little sharper. I think the counter striking is very good. But Tai Tuivasa hits very hard, and he's very fast. And if Ty just comes charging forward, if he does it recklessly, he could be in some trouble. But if he does it quickly, and he does it within combinations, he could have some success there. I am going to pick Jairzinho Rozenstruik here, but these are heavyweights, and heavyweights can do what heavyweights do. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Biggie Boy. Obviously, I was like one of the only people that picked him against Shamil. I said exactly how that fight was going to go. I said, Biggie Boy's got to do, just be on your bike in the first round. Shamil's going to gas, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want to that man. That's exactly what happened. Shamil gassed, and then Biggie Boy just pieced him apart for the next 4 rounds. In this fight, I think it's kind of a similar game plan. Obviously, Tai Tuivasa isn't going to be like the gassing guy like Shamil was, but Tai Tuivasa, he's had his struggles lately in front of his home fans. This seems like it could be one of those last fights for him if he's starting to think about that sort of thing. He's going to be aggressive. I mean, if there's ever a fight that somebody is going to be aggressive, and Biggie Boy said, I'm looking forward to it because I think this is going to be an actual fight. I think he likes those type of fights because when you blitz a guy gets technical with the power as Jairzinho, that's what he wants. He wants you to come in reckless, and I think if Biggie Boy just stays patient, I believe that Tai Tuivasa is going to get a little bit reckless, and those hands are going to be there. Biggie Boy was also on the embedded, and his hands are looking fast. I mean, he had boxing gloves on, hitting mitts, and he was moving those fucking hands. I have all the respect in the world for Tai Tuivasa. The way he throws punches, he's always going to be live for a knockout. But I kind of understand. I mean, it's rare to have Tai Tuivasa as like a big favorite, but I kind of understand the odds. I mean, Biggie Boy has power of his own. I think he's going to be the faster guy, and a lot of times speed kind of wins in these situations. So I'm going Biggie Boy here, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. He's the better fighter, but they're heavyweights. But he is the better fighter, and the better fighter should win because he's also not reckless. And Tai Tuivasa's recklessness would only really play into Jairzinho's style and his counter striking and all of that. $8,900 in DraftKings Fantasy. Well, if you think he wins, then he's going to be worth it because he will win by knockout. $7,300 in DraftKings Fantasy. Obviously, if you're on the Thai side, that makes a ton of sense. You're going to spend the $8,900 for Jairzinho Rozenstruik?
I think so. For either one of these guys to get a knockout, because on BetOnline they have method of victory for either fighter. I think KO was open like minus 550 for either one to score a knockout.
It'll be funny, and then watch it just be that sneaky decision
I
heavyweight
think
fight.
that I literally think that Biggie Boy has an opportunity to win by points. You know, I respect the toughness of Ty.
He's got
Ty,
cardio.
yeah, and he's got. I mean, Ty has shown against good strikers. He was taking his time versus Gone, right? I mean, that was a little bit different. But if he takes his time in there, like I really want to get this win in front of the home fans, I think Biggie Boy could just outpoint him for 3 rounds.
Yeah. I mean, anything's possible, and they're both. While they're heavyweights, while they both have a ton of knockouts, they're both like good strikers, and they can fight a technical fight. But I don't think, even if Jairzinho wants to fight a technical fight, I don't think Ty will let him. He's at home. He's a fan favorite. Ty, I don't get the impression that he feels the pressure of, I have to win, I have to win, I have to win. I just feel like Ty's like, hey, listen, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to put on a show, and I'm going to be that guy.
Is, half your money.
It's everything. It is half the money. But I mean,
That's
do you
probably
feel
a lot
like
for him? It is. That's probably at least $100,000 for him.
I also think there's all those undisclosed locker room bonuses. A guy like that, a fan favorite.
Yeah. What do you think his show and win is? It's probably $100,000 at this point.
It's
The guy
probably
nearly
100
fought for a
and
title.
100. Yeah, it's probably 100. I've said this before. I think him almost fighting for a title is the worst thing that happened to his career. That 5-fight win streak is the beginning of the end. The expectations were too high, and all of a sudden they're like, here's the best people in the division. Good luck. And then he lost to one, so it's like, well, give him another one. Then he lost to another one. Dude, give one more. He had that 5-fight win
They really
streak.
wanted him to be a guy.
Yeah, and it destroyed his chin, which is the problem. Because without the chin, all of a sudden he can't just plant and go. But either way, this should be a fun fight. I'm looking forward to it. If you do want to check out the picks, the bets, the round line leans, the artificial intelligence, and everything else we've got going on, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month, and that month will get you all the way through UFC 306. $1.99 super chat from Mirales21. Angelo, how does it feel to live with AIDS? I don't have AIDS. That is a weird narrative that Jacob started.
I didn't start it. You literally said
healthy.
it yourself.
I'm quite
I didn't
healthy.
say anything. You said it.
Just go back 2 streams. It started 2 streams ago. You said it on stream.
Okay, here we go. Any amount of money. You ready?
Yeah. No. I read what you wrote. Just like I read this.
You read what the We Want Picks account wrote.
I read what you wrote, similar to a newscaster who gets caught with all that stuff. And news bloopers are by far my favorite. Let's move on.
Angelo said he got AIDS from a toilet seat, guys.
None of that is true. Next up, at UFC 305, we have the featured fight.
Is that Draco Malfoy?
That is a wild hairstyle for an adult man.
Harry. Harry.
We got Mateusz Gamrot taking on Dan Hooker. Mateusz Gamrot, 24-2 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off yet another decision win. He's taking on Daniel Hooker, 23-12 in his career. 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that war with Jalen Turner a little over a year ago. Mateusz Gamrot, we all know by now, he's a nasty wrestler. He's got great striking technique, but he has no power whatsoever. He is busy. He does push a pace. He doesn't slow down. He doesn't get tired. He can out-wrestle pretty much everybody. The only time we've ever seen him struggle a little bit with the wrestling was against Beneil Dariush. He even out-wrestled Arman Sarukian, who we all know is a nasty wrestler himself. Unfortunately for Gamrot, all that wrestling hasn't prevented him from getting dropped. He's insanely chinny. He has been dropped in 5 of his 9 UFC fights. In more than half of his fights in the UFC, that dude got hit on the chin and went limp. He pops back up. He immediately starts wrestling again. But eventually, he's not going to get back up. He's coming off that Rafael Dos Anjos win where he needed 11 takedowns to get it done. He's taking on Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is a very good striker. He has an enormous amount of heart. We have seen that time and time again. We saw it in his last fight with Jalen Turner. We saw it when he fought Dustin Poirier. We saw it when he fought Paul Felder. He's a long-rangey kickboxer. He uses his kicks really well to manage that distance. He's sharp. He's technical. At times, he will get sucked into a firefight. And while he does have some knockouts, he's not like that big one-punch kind of guy. His takedown defense is solid at 80%, but it is going to be a problem in this matchup. He's coming off that win over Jalen Turner, which was an absolute dogfight. and then a long layoff because of a broken arm. This is a good fight. This could be an upset. And you know what? Last week, I picked Chepe to win, but I wasn't very high on him. And this week, I'm picking Gamrot to win, and I'm not very high on him. And I might be just as wrong this week as I was last week. Like, I got the pick correct, but my level of confidence was a little off, right? Chepe looked great. And Gamrot might look great here. He's got the wrestling, the nonstop wrestling. Dan Hooker's got good takedown defense, but he hasn't fought anybody with as good of takedowns as Gamrot. I think Gamrot wins, but he has been dropped in basically every single fight, certainly the meaningful ones, certainly the more recent ones. And yes, he gets dropped, he pops back up, he keeps going. Nobody has finished him. But that doesn't mean Dan Hooker won't. Dan Hooker has no quit whatsoever. He will stay in that fight. He will dog it out. And Dan Hooker's a much better striker than most of Gamrot's other opponents. Gamrot's going to be the pick because the wrestling is just too obvious and too easy of a path. But I would not put Gamrot in like 25 parlays. I would be a little, bet on him for sure. Especially on this card where value is long gone in a lot of other fighters. But man, eventually he's going to get dropped and not get back up. Do you not agree with that statement, Jakey boy? Does he not get dropped a little too much?
Is it my turn?
That's what that was. That was called a transition.
Well, I didn't know if I was going to start answering and then you're going to interrupt me, which I didn't want to have happen.
No.
Listen, guys, put Gamrot in 25 parlays. Do what you got to do. He's going to smoke Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's just not that guy. You guys love Merab. Guess what? I mean, Gamrot is just the 155 Merab, or Merab is the 135 Gamrot. They are the exact same person. Lackluster striking. They get dropped every once in a while, right? But then they just get right back to the wrestling. And eventually, there's going to be somebody that does really crack the chin and doesn't just kind of clip them, really fucking puts them out. For Merab, guess what? That person's going to be Sean O'Malley, whether you like it or not. He's going to fucking snipe Merab and he's going to put his fucking lights
Wrong
out.
fight.
That is what is going to happen. Well, guess what Dan Hooker is? He is not a Sean O'Malley to a fucking Gamrot. Eventually, Gamrot is going to run into that person. Dan Hooker's not that person. He just isn't. He can't get taken down. Gamrot is nonstop, whether he's getting takedowns or not. Just like Merab, he doesn't have great control, but guess what? It doesn't fucking matter. He's going to be right back on you. I think Gamrot fucking rolls here. Even if he gets hurt, I think literally he has gotten dropped in a round and still won the round. I don't know if that's actually true, but it feels like that is true. He's just fucking nonstop. Dan Hooker's not the guy. Obviously, with his chin, anything's possible. It's fucking fist fighting, but I think Gamrot rolls.
Listen, I also think Gamrot wins, but I did place a Dan Hooker plus 3.5. I think Dan Hooker can drop him in one round, make one round a little ugly, sneak one round out. That's a plus money bet. Jacob, you tipped me onto it. Thank you. Well, I told you I was going to place it, and then you told me when it dropped. I got it at plus 120. I only put a quarter of a unit because this could be just a wild, wet blanket situation. But if we go back to what we were talking about before, and I don't think this would be the case for somebody like Gamrot, because while Gamrot's a nonstop wrestler, he's not like boring. He doesn't stop. If the UFC is telling these wrestlers stop wrestling, he might strike a little longer than he should, which I don't think that would happen.
I don't think Gamrot's gonna give a fuck.
Well, how could he? He's got
I'll
he's
wrestle.
screwed. Yeah,
What do you mean? What do you mean? I'll wrestle. I'll wrestle.
Yeah.
No, we don't wrestle. I don't understand. I wrestle. I don't understand. I wrestle. No, we're saying please don't. I win. I wrestle. I win.
If the UFC doesn't want wrestlers, they really fucked up scooping up all those Russians.
Dude, I literally think that if there is that narrative that they're pushing, it's got to be because of the PFL.
The
that
TV deal
they have so many of those Russian style fighters, and every time I turn on the PFL, it's fucking boring ass wrestling. It's just somebody that's just a little bit better wrestler. And I honestly think that the UFC might be seeing that, being like, oh shit, we don't want to run into this problem.
Or it could be their TV deal is coming up, so they just want to get the most exciting fights they could possibly cram in, get the biggest numbers ever.
That's what I literally just said.
Well, you made it sound like more of a long-term thing. I'm just saying, like, short-term, just make this shit exciting and move on, sell it, and then who cares?
Well, they're not doing a great job.
Jacob and I are on the same side, but this is a spectrum, and I'm closer to this is a close fight. Jacob squarely on the other side. Over 2.5 makes a lot of sense. That's kind of a juice line, but if Gamrot wins, it'll likely go the distance. And if Dan Hooker wins, it may not, but nobody's really been able to do that to Gamrot so far. $9,300 in DraftKings Fantasy. Historically, that's a good price. because he gets, like I just said in that last fight, 11 takedowns and a whole bunch of good. Like, the guy scores really well. He's built for DraftKings Fantasy.
I think he finally gets a finish.
He's had some finishes
Shout out
early in his UFC
Khalifa.
career. Jesus. He had some finishes early.
Yeah, I'm the one. Yeah.
He had some finishes early. You're the one what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm the one being... I said Mia Khalifa.
Well, I didn't realize where I didn't know that you read a comment. I thought you just said that out of nowhere.
Well, I don't even know what that is. You're giggling like you know what that is. Is that somebody?
She's a porn star. We're not going to pretend we don't know who that is.
I thought
You have
she
calluses
was,
on your hand and you've never seen the inside of a gym.
I thought she was like a sports reporter. That's the only thing I know her from.
Your mom goes away for a weekend and your dingling looks like a burnt breakfast sausage. You run that thing through the meat grinder all weekend. So let's not pretend you don't know who Mia Khalifa is. Nice try. Nice try. Next up at UFC 305, we have the co-main event of the evening. We got Kai Kara-France taking on Steve Erceg. Kai Kara-France 24-11 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5, coming back after a full year away. He's taking on Steve Erceg, 12-2 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that title loss to Alexandre Pantoja. Kai Kara-France, we haven't seen him in a year, but let's just assume his skills are what they were then. He's a good boxer, good power for his size. He's just a little baby thing. Good power for his size, lots of volume, technically sound. He works really well inside and outside of the pocket. Takedown defense has worked well for him at 88%. He can be hesitant at times, but when he does let his hands go, he'll hit that flow state and he'll look really good. He's coming off that split decision loss to Amir Albazi, which was a little more than a year ago. He's taking on Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg didn't exist a year ago, and now all of a sudden he just fought for a title, and a lot of people think he won. He's a slick grappler. He attacks very quickly. He'll snatch things up in scrambles. The striking is improving. We're seeing those improvements in every fight. He's got nice calf kicks. He's got a piercing jab. No head movement, though, which is why he is hit with more than 4 significant strikes per minute. He does move fluidly. He'll seize opportunities on the ground. He's coming off that close decision loss to Alexandre Pantoja where he was taken down 9 times. I think this fight comes down entirely to Steve's ability to get this fight to the ground. If he can't get this fight to the ground, I think Kai Kara-France is literally just too fast and too slippery, and he just pieces up Steve Erceg at distance. Kai is like tiny. Like, he's literally, I've been making jokes all week about how small he is. He's tiny. He's 5'4". He's the smallest person in this division.
He looks like he should talk like this.
He's so small. He's Tweety
He
Bird.
looks like he should be like, hey, I'm Kai Kara-France.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
And his name's actually James.
I am James.
James Kara-France?
No, it's James like Kai something.
Oh, Kai's the middle name?
It's like a long, and then he shortens that and then takes that. Goes,
I am James.
Jimmy. You can call me Jimmy. Either way, he's tiny. Steve Erceg is very big for this weight class. So Steve Erceg should be able to bully, should be able to close the distance, sort of lean on him, drag on him, slow it down, because Kai Kara-France is going to be the much faster fighter here, so Steve Erceg is going to need to slow the pace. I think he does. I am not nearly as confident in Steve Erceg as the rest of the community. Everybody thinks Steve Erceg is like a guarantee. I think Kai Kara-France has some success here. He's lightning fast on the feet. The problem is the year off, and he is just so freaking small. I was going to go place that plus 3.5. That was also quite expensive. That was like -2 something. Because a lot of people think he can win a round, which is surprising because if you look at the comments, if you look at Tapology, if you look at the Discord, people are 1,000% sure Steve Erceg wins. What do you think, Jakey? Boy.
Well, the public seems to disagree, and they actually disagree, or they agree with your side, because he was bet down all the way to -145 on most of the books. Today, it's back up to 155, but that's a far cry of where he was at, -210, -220. I definitely bet him. I think it was around the minus 200, something somewhere around there. And I'm honestly comfortable with that number. I think he can go toe-to-toe with Kai in the striking. I think his counter striking is pretty dynamic, and there could be an opportunity where he has Kai in trouble. But I think his size and his wrestling can get to a guy like Kai Kara-France. I know that Kai Kara-France has really good takedown defense, but I just think the physicality, and Steve is one of those, he's a lifelong wrestler. He knows how to kind of hit that extra angle, that extra kind of chain wrestling if he needs to go to it, right? He might not even need to go to it because I think he's going to have his length in the striking, and those counter hooks are going to be there for a guy like Kai Kara-France, who really has to get in the pocket, being the smaller guy. So I like Steve Erceg here, and I'm not too crazy worried about it.
And you don't think he needs to be bigger? He doesn't need to slow the pace? You think he can literally just outstrike the Energizer Bunny?
I think he can be fine. Kai's not like a crazy pressure guy. He's fast when he goes, but
he's fast as shit. But yeah,
well, everyone at 125 is fast.
And also, it is funny that like New Zealand and Australia, and they like fake hate each other. Or they get pissed if you call their flags are almost identical.
Well, yeah, everything used to be owned by Britain, Angelo.
I understand, just they didn't even try to be different.
Well, at the time, they were barely different. They were both Britain controlled, so Britain just like, here you go. Let's try to touch up on our history here, sweetheart. And this is actually a home fight for Steve. There you go. In case you're wondering which one is which.
Well, $9,300 in DraftKings Fantasy is a far cry from the odds because they are minus 155 right now. $9,300 in DraftKings Fantasy is more like minus 350-ish type favorite money. Interesting situation here because I don't think Steve's going to be worth that $9,300. Even if he wins, I don't think he's going to be worth it. He has to put on a wrestling clinic to be worth that money. I think Kai's just too fast,
by
too slippery.
Submission.
Is that a true statement or just a waning thought?
He's a really good grappler.
He's a very good grappler, but and I get he's like a very good wrestler for Australian standards, but he struggled with the takedowns. And he struggled defending
Pantoja,
who's not a wrestler. Correct.
I was almost choked out by Albazi too. I mean, guy's a tough dude, and I think he won that fight too.
Versus Albazi, and a lot of people are like, I guess we'll see. Albazi doesn't fight nearly enough, but a lot of people are like, Albazi's the champ. He's the guy, but we'll see how that all breaks down. But if you want to check, yeah, they literally said it in the chat. If you want to check out the picks, the bets, the round line leans, the artificial intelligence, and more, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month, and our latest tool, the Data Analyzer, has a full tape index built into it. I got a message today. How do I watch the fights? Can I watch them on your website, like the historical ones? And I said, go to the Data Analyzer, pick a fighter, look at the chart, bing, click on the dot, and that fight is right in front of you. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. 2 super chats. AJ said, I'm watching in my school's toilet, missing class. I don't know what flag that is, but we appreciate you.
What flag is that, chat? That's, it's got to be...
I don't know what flag that is, dude.
It's got to be, well, if he's at school
black
right now,
and
it's
orange.
Got to be something over in Asia or somewhere, right? Or an island somewhere. Maybe an island out there? Because that's the only place. It's got to be daytime there right now, right?
Let's see. Black and orange flag. I mean, I'm not going to spend 40 minutes trying to figure this shit out. There's a whole bunch of black and orange flags, and none of them that showed up were that one. Thank you, AJ Down99 for Mureles21. He says, you guys go back and forth like a married couple. Fair. I'm the husband. Dibs.
You really want to you really want to put it to me, don't you?
Sucks for you. You're not going to find that flag. I'm just moving on to the main event. You're not finding that flag. Next up, at UFC 305, we have what I think is one of, if not the best main event of the year. I am very excited for this fight. We have a plot line that has been developing for over 2 full years. I was there live in person when Dricus beat Robert Whittaker and Izzy got in the cage and was just yelling obscenities in his face. The tension is insane. The arguments are crazy. We have one of the greatest middleweights of all time in Israel Adesanya trying to be, this might not be an actual fact, trying to be the first person to ever lose their belt twice and then win it back twice. taking on Dricus du Plessis, who is just charging forward and winning fights with insane pressure. This is a spectacular main event. I am very, very excited for it. And I'm ready to break it down. We got Dricus du Plessis, 21-2 in his career, 5-0, of course, in his last 5 on a nice 9-fight win streak, taking on Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya is 24-3. He only has 3 losses. It seems like more than that because we've seen all 3. But the dude only has 3 losses in his career. He's 3-2 in the last 5. He's coming back after a title loss and a full year away. We all know Dricus by now, right? He's not the most technically sound guy in the world. His striking is pretty good. He's got some big power in there. He's got plenty of takedowns, an insane gas tank, and ridiculous forward pressure. He's a good grappler. He'll hunt for submissions. He'll look for stoppages. And he will just continue to move forward. He will never stop. It doesn't matter what you hit him with. It doesn't matter if you're standing in front of him or if you're not. And we have seen him clean it up. Just a few fights ago, we're talking about, God, this guy is so sloppy. He's terrible. There's no way he can win this fight. And then he wins. The next fight, that was luck. He's sloppy. He's a mess. There's no way he can win that fight. He wins that fight. And now here he is, the world champion with just insane forward pressure on Sean Strickland, where he had 6 takedowns over 25 minutes. He's taking on Israel Adesanya. We all know Izzy by now, the former world champion, multiple-time champion, lost his belt to Alex Pereira just to come back and win it. He times his strikes well. He's a great counter striker. He'll roll with the punches. No wrestling. Don't expect any offensive wrestling. Defensively, he's got a solid 77% takedown defense. And he's going to need it in this fight because Dricus du Plessis is just going to charge forward. He's going to do what he did versus Sean. He's going to do what he did versus Robert Whittaker. He is just going to move forward at whatever pace he sets, throw a bunch of punches to the head, and rip you to the ground. I think Israel's striking is obviously good enough to probably not get knocked out on the feet. I think he's going to roll with those punches, avoid that chaos, right? He's a great counter striker. But I do think he's going to struggle with both avoiding the strikes and defending the takedowns. It's very hard to be bobbing and weaving while also defending the hips. I think Dricus du Plessis just moves forward with the insane pressure, with the constant movement up top, the constant attacking of the legs. He trusts his cardio. He will go a full 25 minutes, non-freaking stop, and I think he looks good doing it. I think he wins. Israel Adesanya is 35 years old. He's a year away from the worst performance he has ever had in the cage. He's put 2 countries worth of pressure on himself. He's made this about more than the octagon, and a lot of people are like, oh, a focused Izzy is an Izzy that can win. I think there's too much pressure. I think there's too much to lose. He's too far removed from success in the octagon. Even in that fight, let's go through his last 3 fights very quickly. Sean Strickland dropped him immediately, put on the pressure, just beat his ass that entire fight. The fight before that, he knocked out Alex Pereira after getting walked down the majority of that, literally closed his eyes, bombed an overhand, and got it. The fight before that, he looked good, and then Alex Pereira finished him against the cage. Like, he has not had an amazing streak here. And now he's 35 years old, a year removed, and in that time span, Dricus du Plessis is just cleaning things up, getting better cardio, getting insane pressure. I think Dricus just moves forward nonstop, wins this fight. And I will say, last thing before I hand it over, sorry, I do miss Izzy. We took Izzy for granted. When he was the champion, that dude was defending his belt 3 times a year. Now we're in a world where we see Islam fight once a year. Leon Edwards fought 1 time. Like, I miss a champ like Izzy who's just constantly putting that belt on the line. So hopefully whoever wins this fight will defend fairly quickly. But either way, I do think Dricus wins this fight. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, guys. You can listen to me, guys. And before I do this breakdown, I want to be very clear that when I do these breakdowns, I'm not trying to convince people of certain things. It might seem like that because I'm passionate, but I'm just trying to tell you guys how I see the fight. And if Angelo disagrees, then we go back and forth with that. But I don't want to change people's mind, right? You guys do the research as well. Trust your guts. Don't listen to me because there's nothing, honestly, Angelo, that people that I hate more than anything when people tag me in something. They're like, man, I had this, but you said this, so then I changed my mind. It's like, trust your gut. Trust what you think. You guys know fights as well. I just give my opinion. And the reason why I preface that is DDP's going to win this fight, okay? And when I say this, I say it because I understand everything that you guys are going to say about DDP. Because guess what, motherfuckers? I was that same person, right? I was the exact same person. This guy can't strike. This guy he showed like lackluster endurance. He's sloppy. I have no idea how he keeps winning fights, but the next guy's going to beat him, right? And then he comes around, okay, the next guy's going to beat him. Guess what? Apparently, you just can't fucking beat this guy. And who's the last person I said that about? I said Belal Muhammad. I fucking hated Belal Muhammad. I fucking hated DDP. I said they were both bums that shouldn't even be in the UFC. And then Belal all of a sudden just started winning. And then you realize, oh my God, this guy's actually pretty good. And I put my bias aside and I sat here and I tried to tell you guys that when you pressure these point fighters, these fighters that want to just back up, back against the fence, and they want to counter strike, when you pressure these guys, they turn into just normal, average dudes. I said the same thing about Belal, about Leon. He's just going to get inside this guy. Leon fights how he's going to fight, and he's going to lose that fight. That's exactly what ended up happening. Now, Izzy is a point fighter, just like Leon. He wants to do the same things. The difference is, Izzy probably has a little bit more heart than a guy like Leon. He's got a little bit better footwork. He's not going to let you hold you as much, but it's the same concept. You get in their face. You stay in their face. Sean Strickland stayed in his face. Izzy didn't know what the fuck to do. 2 times that Alex Pereira fought him. He bullied him, right? He got knocked out in the second fight, but Izzy does not like the pressure. Even Robert Whittaker in that fight, that last time he fought Robert Whittaker was pressuring him, mixing to takedowns. I actually thought Robert Whittaker won that fight. People are going to say that Izzy Sean Strickland fight, that wasn't Izzy. Right, he was on his way out, but he was a little bit lackluster. He wasn't himself. Now he's back, man. Now he's fired up. He's coming for heads. I don't care about belts. I'm coming for heads. Guess what? I think that was just Izzy. I think that was Izzy. He's been in some wars. He's a little bit older now, right? Maybe injuries are keeping up. He talked in the embedded in the UFC countdown. I could feel like I'm 35 now. Recovery is a little bit different. I just think he's slowing down a little bit. And when you get in front of his face, he doesn't have the same speed in the pocket that he did to keep people away from him or hurt them in those situations. This dude Dricus is not going to fucking stop. He's shown that in the Sean Strickland fight. He cleaned up his nostrils, whatever it was. He is not going to fucking stop. And the fact that he came in and said, guess what? I do want to fight in Australia in front of Izzy's, quote unquote, home crowd and show you that I'm the better fighter. The last thing I want to mention is very important. Más importante. I think that DDP is coached by a fucking really high-level coach. They talked about the adjustments they make in between each fight. They study film. They look for film. They came in against Robert Whittaker as a southpaw, completely switched his stance. And they said Robert Whittaker has never lost to a southpaw. But guess what? We saw the holes in the film that we could find if Dricus fought as a southpaw. And he said, guess what? We've been preparing for Izzy for a long time. We've got the game plan ready. And when you listen to Izzy's corner and the Sean Strickland corner, that city kickboxing guy, second round, Izzy's like, I can't get past his jab. And his coach was like, uh-oh. What do we do? What do we do? He's like, I didn't prepare for Izzy's not to be able to get past the fucking jab. I think that camp is fraudulent. DDP is going to be more than ready. He has a quiet confidence about him. He's not worried about Izzy. He knows how good he is. He respects him, but he's just going to get in this dude's face. He is going to beat him up. He's going to take him down, rip him down, and DDP is going to win that fight. And that's why, surprise, surprise, I always put my money where my mouth is. I did put $2,000 on DDP plus 110 to win $2,200. This is just Belal winnings. Like I said, I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm not saying tail me, whatever it is. These are my Belal winnings. I'm rolling into DDP. I feel good about it. I just don't think Izzy's that guy anymore.
I'm with you. We agree. You're like most times we agree. You're a little more confident than I am, but I do think Izzy is gonna struggle with the pressure, and it's not Sean Strickland pressure. Because it's not just striking. The grappling combined with the striking pressure is the problem. You mentioned the surgery.
Yeah, he's not going to be ready for these takedowns, I don't think. And I think he was smart in going to what Bang Tao in Thailand with the Hickman brothers, because I know Volk was up there. You want to know why Volk's takedown defense was so good versus Islam? It's because he was with the Hickman brothers, and they are very good. So Izzy has been hanging out there, so he understands what's about to happen. But I just don't think there's not enough time to learn that stuff. I mean, Alex Bejeda fucking dumped him on his head.
Alex Bejeda only has one. He attempted one
Literally
takedown
dumped
ever,
him on
and
his
he
head.
got one takedown ever. And it was in that fight. What's interesting here is the round line. I don't know what's going to happen.
Like, look at
I
that.
don't know what's going to happen because Izzy is tough. Izzy is durable, and Dricus could just move forward, take him down, move forward, beat him up. Or Dricus could get sloppy and Izzy could catch him. I think Dricus wins. I think it's most likely a decision. Israel Adesanya, does have some power. We've seen it. He's knocked some people out, but I think that Alex Bejeda knockout was more of a wish and a prayer with the eyes closed, and Alex just cutting way too much weight than it was. Look at Izzy's type power.
Yeah,
Either way,
and Dricus is a guy who's shown like he's ready for adversity because he's been through some fucking adversity in his fights before, and this guy will just keep fucking pushing through everything, man. It is absolutely insane. I think Izzy needs to knock this dude out or he's fucking getting mauled, and I don't think he's going to knock him out.
yeah, it's going to be a great fight. That's why I'm looking forward to it. And even the chat right now, the live chat is completely split. People all over the place fighting with each other, telling us our picks are terrible, telling each other, going crazy over this fight. And that's what we love about this sport, disagreeing, and we all get to see what happens. Unless it's some close-ass fight like the last one, and then everybody's just going to insist that they were right anyway. Either way, this is a great main event. I am looking forward to it.
And I've only missed one main event all year for a pay-per-view. And that was Steve Erceg, and he arguably won.
There you go. If you want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the round line leans, and everything else that we do, it's only $10 for an entire month. A month, $2.50 a week. And that $10 is going to get you UFC 305, 2 fight nights, and UFC 306. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. We got a couple of super chats. $2 from Gavin O. Uzumaki. Unrelated, but man, I hate Shalampos Grigori. Very related. Anytime we talk about fights, we can all agree that guy is the absolute worst. $2 super chat from WizKid. You'd have to be crazy not to live bet this fight. The problem is, as soon as Dricus gets a takedown, odds are crazy. Or as soon as he gets one stuffed and Izzy lands clean, odds are like live betting this fight might be a very hard thing to do. But certainly if you're ready with the trigger finger, be good to go. Live dogs, not a super chat, but I had to pin this because he's just spewing incorrect bullshit. Neither of you picked DDP to beat Strickland. We didn't forget.
I literally bet him, dumbass.
Dude, we
Stupid
both picked
fuck.
DDP. We both picked him. This is the problem
Stupid ass.
with the
Fuck.
internet. You just
Dumb
say, and then I
bitch.
was like, dude, you're wrong. And he's like, oh, I must have remembered wrong. It's like, no, you can't just say shit that's incorrect like that and be like, oops.
You know what happened today, too? You're going to appreciate this because it happens with Fifth. He said his statement today, he was talking about Erceg. He said, this was his statement, everyone that fought in a title fight loses their next fight. Guess what I did? I went and found about 10 to 15 fighters that fought title fights and won their very next fight. And it's like people literally will just say anything and just take it, you just believe it just because they said it. It's wild.
Yeah, the internet's crazy. You can't. The internet. You can just say whatever you want and then be like, whatever.
Yeah, literally.
Whatever.
He just ignored me. I said, I'll keep going. I just kept listing players, just list them. And he just moves on. People just move on.
Omar Vargas, $2. How much money did you put on DDP? I have $100 on him. 2 different $50 bets. I went to bet online. It was plus 10. No, it was plus 110. I tried to bet him. And bet online was just giving me an error saying you've bet too much on this fight already. But I hadn't bet anything. So then I went to bet US. And I placed the bet over there. I got it at plus 105. Then I saw plus 120 at bet online. I'm like, let me try again. And then it went through. So $100 on Dricus. Jacob and I have the same unit, but his bets are far more wild than mine in some cases. So maybe his units need to go up. Then we have
What are you talking about? I bet
You put
$1 or
$2,000 on Dricus.
Yeah, but that's not a premium unit. That's just
No, I know it's not premium. I'm just saying in
play.
general.
My units are normal. Sometimes I just have a little fun.
Mirales, $21.99 says, you guys are the best when it comes to analysis. Thank you. And we appreciate that because you can't get fights at 100% accuracy. Nobody can. There's people like Shalampros Gregorio out there that can't win a fight even if it's gifted to them. Then we got $5 from Ben. Hey, Angelo, ice stain fences. I'll be in Salina and Prosper tomorrow doing estimates. Also, I got DDP via unanimous decision. You can shoot me a DM and reach out. We're not going to do that tomorrow. A lot going on tomorrow. Busy day. But if you want to shoot me a DM and reach out, Arturo did some stuff. We threw him on a vlog, so you can certainly shoot a DM and we can chat.
How about guys?
And actually, what's your
do some stuff
business?
for me?
Say your business. We'll shout your business.
How about
out.
do stuff for me?
Happy to shout your business out, by the way. And if Jacob,
Who owns a car dealership and wants to give me a car? Something like that. Come on, people. Let's be
$1.99 from Jingliang. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of you. We flexed up to over 800 people live. And for a Monday stream that we didn't really advertise, that's impressive. We appreciate every last one of you. And to show our appreciation, we're going to give you $50. Just go to
probably tomorrow.
WantPicks.com/bets.
Do you know what flag that is?
That's, what's her name, Slag? Yeah.
Whoa, spoilers. I said what country? That's Scotland.
Okay. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the affiliate link. Sign up, make a deposit. We'll send you $50 as a thank you. You can use that money to become a premium member. Greatest offering on the planet. You're going to get the Data Analyzer, which is a phenomenal research tool that has interactive data charting, stackable filters, a full tape index.
That's what I'm talking about.
And events out to the future. We got the Prop Hunter, curated set of data specifically designed to help you find your prop bets. We have the line movement tracker, opening odds, current odds, win probability, and line movement for every fighter on every card. We have the DraftKings Optimizer preloaded with the best DraftKings projections in the game. And the safety parlay, which yes, last week in devastating fashion did not pull through. But if you just look at the numbers, you'll see that it hit at 7 of the last 10. That's 70%. If you go lifetime, which is 2 years, 72% event win rate. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month. The greatest value in this space. Let's do well this weekend. Jacob, any last words for the people before we shut this down?
Lock of the week video prior tomorrow. And if you guys enjoy these streams and you enjoy my live streams, probably Contender Series stream tomorrow night. It's quick, easy, 2 hours. We have a lot of fun. I don't research shit, and you guys tell me what to bet, and I'll bet my own money on whatever you tell me, and then we argue, and I get mad at you, and then we make up, and we share DMs of each other's feet.
All right. See you there.